please don't play this for anybody. I don't normally do this.
I think we're being set up for an ambush.
Dodge this.
Ambushed. To be attacked suddenly by someone lying in wait.
You say, well, you know, the way you preach causes us and them. It is us and them!
Apostate. Someone whose beliefs have changed and who no longer belong to a religious or political group.
You side with them, I'll throw you out. Get out!
Escaping cults. Rejecting delusion. Embracing reality. Breaking the chains. Freeing your mind. And becoming your own person. This is the Ambushed Apostate Podcast with your host, Seth Henderson.
Dodge this.
Welcome everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. Tonight is going to be a super chill, super laid back stream. It's been a stressful couple of days, and I think we're just going to hang out and talk a little bit about what Christian schools are doing to kids' educations. And for those of you who don't know, and as everybody's sort of filtering in, my kids attend Christian school, and it is not something that I agree with, but for the past almost 5 years, I have had no say-so in what they do. So it's something I've just had to sort of accept, and I hope that one day they'll process some of this stuff out. Hey, Kelly, what you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. So basically, I have gone through a revision. It was a full revision from what I understand, basically a completely new version of the student handbook for the kids' school. Before we get started, I want to make sure I'm clear on something. I'm not going to put my kids at risk by putting their school's name out there. I've gone through and redacted the school name and anything that can be tied back to the school. What's up, Dave? How you doing, buddy? Let's get this on screen, shall we? I'm working on my restream skills as well. But what we're going to do is basically go through this handbook, and we're going to look at it from the perspective of strictly education, right? School is supposed to be where you go to learn. When you go to a Christian school, you would think, if you don't know much about it, well, maybe, it's just Christian themed and, they're still education heavy. We're going to see that that is not really the case, because with this school and with a lot of other Christian schools, it is a requirement to have a certain level of spirituality to even graduate. So we've got some people filtering in. I think we are, what's up, Simon, Marty, how y'all doing? We're gonna run through this student handbook, and it's shocking, but this is the reality right now. And if you think about it from the lens of the political climate right now, they are marrying politics and religion, and then telling kids, as we're going to see, you can't have your phone out. You have to basically agree. You can't really question anything, because that would be viewed as disrespectful or not spiritual enough. So let's just hop into this and get started. It's 26 pages long, but it's not all pertinent information. So I'm not going to necessarily go through all of it. And of course, here we go. Let's try this. I have a application that I'm getting ready to make public so that people who want to come in and be my tech guy can do that, because I clearly need one. So here we go. Let's get started. And I'm assuming everybody can hear me. Hey, let's go, Dave. 600 subs. Excellent. You deserve it, my friend. I am glad to hear it. And Kelly in the house, who has gone from double-digit subscribers, 2-3 weeks ago, and she's also pushing nearly 100. So that is awesome. All right, so I'm going to read this out, and you guys can hang out in the chat, and obviously I'll keep an eye on that. But let's get started. So this came out the 14th of this month, And it says, "Dear parents and guardians, we hope this message finds you and your family well. We want to inform you that the school has completed a full revision of our student parent handbook to ensure it accurately reflects our current policies, expectations, and Christian values. A digital copy of the updated handbook has been emailed to you, which is where I got it. And it's also been sent home. The kids and the parent both are supposed to read through this and agree to it." And that's basically what this is saying. Send it back by the 17th. Make sure that everyone is on board with these new changes. And we truly appreciate your partnership and continued support as we strive to create a Christ-centered environment where our students can learn, grow, and thrive. Again, at face value, okay, it's education with a little Jesus mixed in, right? Well, not exactly. So, cover letter here, table of contents. We're going to get to all this stuff, so let's just skip that for now. And we're going to go through, this is the core values and the portrait of a graduate. Now, this specific section is literally going to tell the parents what is required for the kids to graduate. On behalf of the staff and leadership of the school, it is our joy to welcome you to our school. The school is committed to providing a Christ-centered education that challenges students academically, develops their character, and equips them to impact the world for Christ. Not a school's job. Okay, a school is to educate. But as we see, this is going to be a running theme as we go through this. We believe that education is a partnership between school, home, and church. Our staff is dedicated to creating an environment that is safe, rigorous, and grounded in biblical truth. Together, we will nurture students to reach their God-given potential while preparing them for college, career, and lifelong service. So they are making it very clear that this is going to be a mixture between church and education, which, as we get into, we're going to understand that that is not possible. Our mission at the school is to provide quality education with a biblical worldview in a safe environment. Our goal is to provide an excellent, Christ-centered education that integrates faith and learning, cultivates biblical character, and prepares students to pursue God's calling on their lives, whatever that actually means. But integrating faith, which is something that by definition you take on without evidence. That is literally the point. And integrating that into learning, which is an educational experience with data, essentially, that you are learning and digesting, the two don't go together. But again, we've set up this idea that this is how we're going to do things here. The core values of the school, first and foremost, are faith. Jesus Christ is the foundation of truth. We integrate a biblical worldview across all subjects and activities. So we are starting with the conclusion, and we're building everything around that. Again, this has nothing to do with science, history, math, English, whatever else. Core values of character. We expect honesty, integrity, respect, and responsibility, modeling the life of Christ. Okay. Academic excellence, rigorous curriculum aligned with national education standards. Really? And here is, again, the unnecessary part of education, and enriched with Christian worldview teachings. Okay, so young earth creationism, for instance, that is a biblical worldview, Christian worldview, that is completely devoid of any scientific data. We know it's bunk. The world of science knows it's bunk, but here we are outright saying the education is going to be this biblical worldview. So it goes on to talk about the community. We encourage service and value partnerships with families and churches. Okay, the graduate expectations. This is to graduate the school at the end of the 12th grade. A graduate of the school is Christ-centered, first and foremost. So before we even get to anything education-related, Christian, is your life centered around Christ? Nothing to do with education. Then we get into academically prepared, and then more Christian stuff, a servant leader, a critical thinker. Serious, academically prepared, a servant leader, which is more Christian stuff, and a critical thinker. There is no critical thinking, no room for critical thinking in Christianity. As we're going to, the kids are told they can't get anything they're taught biblical related. We're going to get to that. So mixed with a Christ-centered worldview, essentially, creative and purposeful, resilient and adaptable, and a citizen of integrity who impacts the world for Christ. This literally is two things that do not go together. This is not two things that you can mix and actually have any type of real results. It's one or the other. Non-discrimination policy. The school admits students of any race, color, national, or ethnic origin to all the rights, privileges, programs, and activities generally agreed or made available to students at the school. It does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, nationality, essentially, or ethnic origin in the administration of its personnel or educational policies, admin policies, scholarships. Okay, they're saying, look, we don't discriminate, right? But the most important thing is what they've left out. What they do discriminate against is sexual orientation and religious affiliation. Huge red flag. You don't get to be anything but straight, and you don't get to be anything but Christian. Big problems right here. Now you can say, well, it's a Christian school, you should be Christian to go there. That's fine. We're going to get into the fact that they do discriminate against anyone who doesn't identify as straight, because that's a sin. And for some reason that's brought into the school. And they've made some pretty hellacious adjustments to discriminate against people who are expressing their gender in any other way besides straight. Let's see. Okay, school communication system. The school's attendance, grades, schedules, and official records. Parents have to keep everything up to date. Here we go. Here's the communication expectations. Respect and partnership, truthful, respectful, solution-oriented communications. The chain of communications is something that I want to touch on. Now, I'm not going to throw this school completely under the bus or tell a bunch of stories that have happened, but there was an place last year where I didn't follow this chain of command at all. What they want you to do is if you have a problem, you go to the teacher. And then the teacher will go to the principal, who will then go to the administrative staff. I'm measured with my words here because I don't. So I'm going to be careful how I say some of this. I went up there and talked to the principal about a situation where they were essentially enabling criminal behavior and allowing someone to pick my kids up that should not have been driving a vehicle. We'll leave it at that. And I went up and talked to the principal directly after I had talked to her once on the phone already and said, hey, this needs to stop. I went up there and addressed this in person. And then 2 days before graduation, I was told not to come back to the property. Uh-oh, we've disappeared. What's happened? Hold on. We're going to check Restream real quick because I feel like, all right, are we there? Everybody's there? We're good? I think I had an internet issue right there. I apologize. So the point is, they punished me for coming up there to basically say, hey, I want my kids protected, and I don't want this person picking them up because they're not supposed to be driving a car right now. And that pissed them off real good, enough to say, hey, you cannot come to your kid's graduation, just for skipping, I guess, the chain of command or coming in and being disrespectful. Super toxic environment that they set up for the communication side with the parents. But let's see. Let's move forward because I want to get to a couple things here, and then maybe we can talk about it. If anybody wants to join, I am going to pin the link here in just a minute to Restream. The curriculum. Okay, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it, buddy. Let's see. This is just the application process. The curriculum. Pre-K, introduction to numbers, letters, social skills. K to fourth grade, core subjects are math, grammar, reading, phonics, spelling, science, social studies. All that stuff's great. Core subjects plus enrichment electives. These are okay from what I've seen. There's not been anything super crazy as far as like religious stuff in that. But here we have across all grades, teachers integrate scripture, prayer, and biblical worldview discussions. So this is everything from history to science, social studies, literature. All of this is wrapped up in this Christian worldview, which again serves no purpose for education, because as we've talked about in other videos, the Bible is not a science book. It's barely a history book. It's wrong on so many levels, from the sun being made on the fourth day, but yet there were plants until then. There was light to feed the plants, but it wasn't made until the fourth day. The moon was a light source. If two animals have sex in front of a striped stick in the ground, the bark is striped, the animals come out striped. People living inside of whales for days, people, riding in on a horse with a sword coming out of their mouth from the sky. It's total nonsense. But here we are with a biblical framework that is poisoning the well of education. And it's very clear they do this in every single class. So as we go on, this is more about your SATs and the Iowa test and things like that. Cheating and plagiarism will not be tolerated, which is okay. I can agree with that. Attendance is really not anything super crazy, so I'm gonna skip over this. It's pretty average. And by the way, while we're skipping some of this stuff that doesn't really is not really pertinent to our conversation, these school policies are usually copied and pasted from other schools. When I was a police officer and we changed our departmental policies, we had an update on a policy. What typically happened was the chief of one department would find out the chief from a department across the county line or whatever had changed one of their policies. And then they would say, hey, it's a good policy change. I think we'll adopt that. So they copy and paste it from this other department. They change the police department name and anything pertinent to the department itself. And then it's our policy too. So this is sort of a blanket type of policy from these Christian schools. My kids have attended 2 Christian schools in the past few years, and they're very, very similar. So this is not me just necessarily picking on my kids' school. This is pretty standard stuff. Now, this is big. The discipline and code of conduct section. You've got, I'm just going to read through it. Jesus. Discipline is discipleship. School discipline is discipleship, not correcting behavior that's disruptive or, not healthy for educational settings. We're again wrapping this up in Christianity, aimed at growth in Christ. Very clear. Now we've got scripture references for this. This is so crazy. Our kids are there to learn, and even the discipline comes from a biblical standpoint, which is scary, by the way. Have some of you read the Bible and seen how God disciplined some of his own people for doing things like picking up sticks on the wrong day? So that's sketchy. But we promote respect, promote learning, and and encourage repentance, restoration, and maturity. God, it's so gross just to read it. I'm sorry. General expectations: honor Christ in word and action, respect people and property, practice academic integrity, follow classroom, chapel, extracurricular expectations, uphold the school's reputation. Isn't that cute? Tell me this is not a church for children. Whatever you do, make sure our church looks good. Make sure the name, the reputation stays, intact, regardless of the behavior. This is a huge red flag, y'all. Huge red flag. And real quick, I want to say hey to John, and Robin is here. Great to see y'all. We are just reading through a Christian School Handbook. It's quite insane. Prohibited behaviors. And this is a non-exhaustive list, meaning if the school decides there's some new behavior, they'll just tack it on. And we're going to get into more of that, where the school has a ton of discretion on this stuff. Prohibited behaviors: disrespect and defiance, bullying and harassment, including cyber, dishonesty, profanity, obscenity, drugs, tobacco, vaping, alcohol, weapons, dangerous objects, tech misuse, physical aggression, fighting, sexual misconduct or harassment, theft, vandalism, and criminal misconduct. Now, some of those things, obviously, we all agree with, but it's the things like disrespect or defiance that is selectively enforced. I have seen some of the most disrespectful behavior ever from some of the athletes on these school teams, and nothing seems to happen with it. But again, you go in and say, hey, look, I'd prefer my kids not be picked up from someone who's not related to them, who has a suspended license. Can we not let them ride with the guy who's had 4 DWIs? You know, that's, oh, whoa, can't come to the graduation, stay away. That's how this kind of stuff is enforced, not only on the kids, but on the parents as well. Progressive discipline, okay? This is also very cute. First, you get a verbal warning, and the teachers kind of manage that. Then there's a activity removal, and they'll take away some sort of privilege. Or maybe you have to sit in class during, free time or whatever it is. The school's behavioral contract form sent home with the parent or guardian, and a signature must be returned before the school will allow the kid back. So the kid screws up, they send them home and say, hey, your parents has to check off on this and say, hey, we're going to fix this. Then you've got out of school suspension, then permanent suspension. But then just at the end of it, negating everything that was just said in this order and this structure that's there, administration may bypass steps for severe offenses, drugs, violence, threats, weapons, and criminal acts. But there's also portions in here that basically say, and again, we're going to try to get to them, the school can basically jump in and make an exception to any rule they want to at any time they want to. And it leads to selective enforcement. And honestly, I've seen some kids, my oldest daughter and I have a very good relationship. And we were talking about some of this stuff before I came on today. And some people are treated differently than others. So much so that there is a kid in the school who is one of the pastor's kids. And so if you're mean to the pastor's kid, you just happen to get suspended. It's happened to a couple of her friends. And, it's horrible the way that it sets up this environment to selectively enforce things against kids who, again, are supposed to be there learning, not playing this church drama, which is essentially what it is. This is the church drama pushed on the kids from kindergarten. So you wonder why they don't know how old the earth is or how anything works by the time they get out of it, because all they've been involved in is basically the church nonsense from day one. But anyway, so there's the suspension stuff. Let's see. The permanent suspension is for the majority of that is for serious things. Let's look at chapel and faith conduct. Again, it's a school. Why do we have this here? This is totally unnecessary. But we have reverent participation in chapel is required. Reverent participation in chapel is required. No questions. Disruptive and mocking behavior regarding matters of faith is prohibited. But hey, we want them to be critical thinkers. That's part of the reason they can graduate, is if they can critically think. You just can't critically think. What if somebody says, hey, you know what? People don't raise from the dead. We know this. We know how biology works. We know how the human body works. We know how decomposition works. I'm sorry. I don't believe that, dry bones came to life and grew back flesh. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. Is that irreverent? Is that mocking? Well, yeah, it's nonsensical stupidity, but it's pushed down their throat as truth. And if they ask a question, or if they may make a smart remark, like, wait a minute, you're telling me this guy lived for 3 days inside of a whale? Seriously? You're telling me that this donkey spoke English? Was it English or Greek or Hebrew, whatever, during that time frame? Well, what was it? Suspended. That's the crazy part about this. And then it goes straight into bullying policy. We have a zero tolerance for bullying, physical, verbal, relational, or cyber. Our reports are investigated promptly. Consequences range from warnings to permanent suspension. parents are notified of confirmed incidents. Counseling and mediation may be part of restoration. Another church word that is just, constant. Excuse me. I've got my chat over here on my phone, so I'm kind of keeping along there. Yeah, suspension would be a blessing. The problem is, Robin, though, honestly, my oldest, for example, she is, God, I love her so much. She has a good head on her shoulders, and she has plans. She doesn't want to get suspended. She wants to get through school so she can be done with it. So it puts kids in a position where they don't get to ask questions. The biggest egregious thing for me so far is this idea of, they need to critically think, but they can't question anything. We've talked about this in other content. Other content creators talk about this all the time. There is no critical thinking in Christianity. You're told what to believe, and if you don't believe it, it's sin, period. So very confusing. And Robin, you are right. A suspension sounds like a blessing to anybody who's not a complete religious zealot, but it affects their education. You got to also keep in perspective. If my daughter wants to go to college and she wants to keep up a good GPA, well, they look and they say, well, she was suspended a bunch. What was she doing? Well, I don't know. She was suspended. If they don't dig deep enough, and it's, she just questioned the fact that human beings were able to hang out with hungry lions and not be devoured. And, she had an issue with that, so we suspended her for 3 days. That can affect her college, which is again, unfortunate. Let's see here. We just did this one. Oh, Jesus, here we go. It gets worse. It gets worse when it gets to this is the dress code. So first and foremost, the dress code should reflect values and school culture. We aim for modesty, professionalism, orderliness, and unity, supporting a distraction-free, Christ-honoring environment, whatever that means. Now, I agree to a certain extent that kids shouldn't be wearing next to nothing at school. Maybe that's a part of the purity culture thing that's still sort of scarred into my brain. But I do think that a rational, normal, non-perverted adult says, hey, little girls who are turning into young women in that transitional period shouldn't be wearing things with half their butt cheeks hanging out. I agree with that. And I have no moral reason, no sin-based reason to think this is wrong. It's just not appropriate. And so I agree with some of that. But then again, what is Christ-honoring dress code? Well, it gives us some examples. Clothes must be modest, neat, and in good repair. Oh, good. Well, good thing there's no poor kids that go there, because they ain't going to get in the door in the first place, because they selectively pick whoever they want and don't want. But apparently rips and tears and frays above the knees are ungodly. Logos and graphics are limited to school-approved or neutral imagery. No racial messaging, okay? Cultural content, promoting profanity, drugs, alcohol, violence, or inappropriate messages. And again, inappropriate messages that's just decided by, whoever's there at the time. Undergarments must not be visible. Again, young kids, I have to agree with that. Exactly, Marty. Don't distract the boys with the body. It's already setting them up for the disgusting purity culture where you blame the female for everything and the male gets no blame ever, because females, biblical view, are property. They are worth less than men. They are to do what they're told. They're to lay on their backs and then get straight up and go to the kitchen to make some food. That's it. Yes, sir. When can I, what else do you need, sir? And at kindergarten, this can start. We're not going to get off on the purity culture topic because I'll lose my shit. Undergarments must not be visible. Hoods and hats and sunglasses off indoors. Okay, I mean, whatever. Fit appropriately. Here's another thing. They don't want baggy pants. But let me tell you, how many of those younger girls come in there with paint on, ladies, help me out here. I don't know. The paint on pants, the leggings that are so tight, I mean, you can see everything. And it's like, again, 10, 11-year-old girls. I don't know. I don't think it's a good look. But baggy pants, not excessively tight. Okay, right there. But that's not true. Some of my own kids wear some of that stuff, and I'm like, that's not appropriate. And it's selectively enforced, which is another huge problem. No Aussie logos at all. But another thing, one of my kids, she's the one who pushes the limits of everything. Everything. You tell her no, and she's like, yeah, but I'm just right here. I'm going to try it. Love her to death, but she drives me nuts with that. She's tried to wear corn shirts and, tight pants. And it's almost like she finds a rule just to see if she can break it. Thank you, Marty. Leggings. I know this. I'm just a little bit of a boomer. I apologize. It's so annoying to me, and it's sad to me because the kids aren't learning consistency. If your parents are in good with the principal, for instance, that's fine. It's fine. They're just super tight pants, or it's just the shirt with the logo, but it's all right. It's selectively enforced, so it keeps kids from learning consistency, keeps them from learning how to set of rules. Yeah, Robin, exactly. God, I don't even like reference to children. It really bothers me. But, anyway, let's move on. Obviously, I don't want the clothes to have anything super offensive, but, is what it is. No midriff exposed. No sleeveless tanks, see-through fabrics, button within 2 of top. So basically, you can't unbutton your shirt, let your chest breathe a little bit, guys or girls. Neat and modest, one at the waistline. They basically want you to dress like you're going to church. Here we go. Elementary school, leggings and jeggings and yoga pants. Yoga pants, Marty, is what I was thinking of, but leggings work too. What's up, AJ? How are you? We are just hanging out, and this is wild. I glazed through this because I wanted to censor and take out the name of the school, but I hadn't really broke this down. No spandex or biker shorts during school hours. No flip flops or house slippers. Some of this stuff's okay. Now here we go. All right, AJ, this is gonna piss you off. It's gonna piss most of us off, but it's going to really, I think, piss you off in particular because you're so passionate about this type of thing. First, we've got the hair and the jewelry. Hair neat, out of eyes and face. Natural colors only. No hair dye. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an example when we get through with this part, because this right here, this section, I think was written for one of my kids. Styles may not distract, so you cannot have a wild hairstyle. Unnatural colored or multicolored add-in braids are not permitted for school wear for whoever wants to do that. Now, jewelry is modest and non-distracting. No nose rings, face rings, tongue rings, or piercings. No nail polish for males. All right. First off, the nose piercing, I took my daughter for her 14th birthday, got permission from mom. I said, hey, look, she wants her nose pierced. I have always been very supportive of my kids expressing themselves in whatever way they want to, obviously to a certain extent. Like I'm not going to be cool with them saying, hey, I'm going to be a nudist, but I'm only, a 14-year-old. I'm going to have to draw a line. But for the most part, I've said, hey, you guys, if you want to cut your hair short, you want to shave it off, you want to dye half of it, you want a facial piercing, I've been cool with that. And their mom has too, for credit where credit's due. She's been supportive of that too. So I took my daughter for her 14th birthday, got her nose pierced. And this policy came out last year once my kid got her nose pierced. I just told her, I said, just tuck it up during school. Like, don't take it out. We just paid for it. You like it. Just push it up in your nose. But it caused an actual policy to be written. So you can't even have your nose pierced. You can't have multiple piercings in your ears. You can't have crazy hair, which the same daughter has basically a shaved head. And now that it's growing in, it's bleach blonde Eminem style hair. Well, that's a no-go anymore with these new policies. So do you think they're going to actually enforce it? Or do you think that she's going to have to, or do you think there'll be a double standard? Well, I'll tell you, it depends on, what's up, Rainbow? How are you? It depends on who's bringing it up, because again, your parents are good friends with the school staff. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And the school goes, oh yeah, it's fine. We don't want to do that to her. We're cool with their mom. It's BS. It's nonsense. It's a double standard. But hey, it's Christianity. What do you expect? Hypocrisy, double standard, talking out both sides of your mouth, etc. The enforcement, I don't really care. Gender guidelines. Students must dress in accordance with their biological sex in a manner that is not distracting to the learning environment as determined by school administration. This gives the school complete authority and power to say, we think you're trying to dress like the opposite sex, and we can't have that. So either dress like a girl or get sent home, whatever the hell that actually means. Again, my children's GPA on the line, their future education on the line. Just one more time in case you missed it. Oh, we accept everybody. We don't discriminate against anybody except against their sexual orientation or religion, but we don't put that part in. We just omit that data. Exactly. Yeah, you're going to check their genitals. You're going to say, what you got in there? Hey, don't give them any ideas. The most dangerous place a child can be is a church or a Christian school. That is a fact. Look up the information. Just turn the news on once a week and see how many Christian school leaders, Christian pastors are diddling kids or doing inappropriate stuff. Makes me sick. But my daughter wants to go with a buzzed head looking like Eminem and piercings in her face and a corn shirt and jeans on one day, looking too much like a boy. I'd hate for you not to be able to go to college. You better get in line or we're going to have to suspend you. Plus, you don't want to upset Jesus, do you? It is unbearably toxic. But yeah, that's how they feel about gender expression within a Christian school. And it makes me angry and it makes me sick, to be honest. Here's another thing that really pisses me off, especially in this day and age. Now, I don't know if some of you know who Owen Morgan is. He runs Telltale Atheist. He is a legend. I found him when I was deconstructing and really helped me out a lot. His kid was able to record one of their public school teachers spouting off some BS about Christianity in the classroom on their phones. And then they, it turned into a big thing. People started harassing Owen and his family, driving past the house, honking the horn. They actually had to move from West Virginia to New York because of this. But it all stemmed from the fact that his teenage daughter was able to take the phone out, record it, and say, look, this is a school. This is not a church. Stop talking about whatever the subject matter was. This policy here, although, yes, I agree, kids do get distracted and are on their screens way too much. This right here is perfect conditions for abuse and mistreatment and pervy treatment by anybody there, because they are not allowed at all to have their phones on at any point during the school. Let's read it real quick so you don't think I'm making this up. Technology is a powerful tool to be used responsibly to honor God. Not to call your parents if there's an incident at school or if you've been touched inappropriately or anything like that. It's to honor God, whatever that actually means. Policy support, academic focus, digital citizenship, safety, and privacy, whatever that even means. School technology, obviously stuff that is belonging to the school, and I agree with this, should only be used for school purposes. Now, I'm not going to knock that. It's their property. They don't want you sending, stuff to your boyfriend or girlfriend on there or whatever. They don't want you hacking into things or, stealing software or whatever. That's fair. Now, school days, okay? This is from the time they get there, the time they walk in the door to the time they leave. Devices are off and stored in backpacks. They are not permitted in classes, transitions between classes, lunchtime, chapel, or extracurriculars. So they can't, the Grindr app, John, exactly. That's for all the male teachers and coaches. Charlie Kirk's funeral crashed Grindr. Every single time you see one of these pervy men in one of these situations, it's the same thing. And I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm just looking at the data. Yeah, give me a break with that. but you literally cannot have your phone on. And then they go further to say smartwatches are treated as personal devices, and they're also to be turned off and stored with your phone. So you have no way of contacting anybody if some adult male shoves you in a closet and does whatever he wants to. I'm not saying that's happening at this school, to be fair, to be clear. I'm not saying it's happening at this school. Yeah, Simon, I have no idea what digital censorship or digital citizenship actually means. But it's a Christian school. They make up stuff all the time. It's not real. So, this is toxic. This is dangerous. Again, I agree with kids not being able to play on their phones all day in school, but to prevent them from being able to contact a parent in the case of some uncomfortable situation or a situation that's inappropriate is bullshit. And we all know it, and it's disgusting. And it leads to the corruption. It leads to the filth that happens in public schools and in youth groups and in churches all over the country. I'm sorry if that offends you, but that's the truth. Then the last portion, just to make sure we drive it home, parents with urgent communications can't call the kid. Hey, so-and-so just died. Hey, listen, somebody's had a heart attack or a car wreck. We're coming to get you. Oh, no. Let's go through the school. Make sure the school knows. We are preventing direct conversations and communications from parents. I'm telling you right now, that's the kind of stuff that would send an otherwise normal person like me to jail, because I would lose my absolute mind. Anyway, no personal laptops or tablets. So anyway, we're going to move on before I lose my stuff here. Here we go. Where's Austin Sims when you need him? This is their, this is so bizarre to me, by the way, but let's look at it. They partner with families to ensure a safe, clean, caring environment, supporting academic success and spiritual development. Why they keep saying this is ridiculous. You're there for academic success. You're there to learn. There's no reason to keep sprinkling Jesus all over everything. There's not. Students must have up-to-date immunization. Oh my God. Seriously? Wait a minute. Seriously? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Or provide religious beliefs exemption waivers. We think it turns you into a magnet, or we think that the devil's in it, or we think Jesus don't like vaccines, or whatever is wrong with anti-vaxxers. And to my shame, that was us for a long time. And what made it worse is one of my siblings, when they were younger, contracted pertussis from the vaccine. The doctor told us back in the early mid-90s, they said, yeah, sometimes it happens. It was a rough stint with it. She finally got better. It was what it was. But that solidified in me even more, don't mess with these vaccines. So yeah, unfortunately, we did not protect our kids. My ex-wife and I failed our kids medically because we bought into bullshit Alex Jones conspiracy theories. That's the reality. And I hope every day that my kids dodge all the things that we should have protected them from. But you think the school, okay, they're gonna hold, a certain standard. Oh, well, here's a paper saying that we don't believe Jesus likes all these vaccines because I heard they was aborted babies in there. I heard when you get one of them, you can stick a spoon to your forehead and that thing will stick. Well, that's about satanic, ain't it? I mean, that's the level of intelligence we're working with some of these people, unfortunately. So this goes through some pretty basic stuff. I did read through this. Prescription medicine, kids that need medicine, they've got a lice policy, food allergy policy. All that stuff's fine. It is what it is. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything crazy. Monthly fire drills, severe, weather drills, things like that. Fortunately, they do have a school resource officer dedicated to that school who's there every day. That makes me feel a little bit better for the safety of the kids. But here we go. Student life. Here's another troubling section here. And again, having Christian environments is one thing, but force feeding any type of religion down someone's throat, which I can tell you now without burning them. Some of my kids have questions, legitimate, serious questions. Yet they go to school, and every week on Wednesday, weekly chapel with worship, prayer, and teaching from God's word. Now, I'll tell you this right now. It ain't the teaching of chopping the concubine up into 12 pieces and mailing her dismembered body to all the tribes. It's not about Elisha getting pissed off at the children who were making fun of him for being bald and calling 2 bears to come in the name of the Lord. I mean, the Lord sent them, mauled the kids to death. It's not about getting hundreds of foreskin and putting it in a bag as a wedding gift. Oh no, it's, the lighthearted, sanitized crap. Marty, they have lockdown drills multiple times a year, and and this is going to sound crazy to some of y'all, from a former law enforcement perspective, I appreciate them not saying when they do it, how they do it. Unfortunately, the kids who do these things have read this and they know what's a drill and what's not. I appreciate that. Somewhere in somebody's brain in that school, something normal fired off, and then they had a good idea. Broken clock is right twice a day type thing. But chapel and discipleship. Okay. Weekly prayer, worship, teaching of God's word. Sanitized, of course. All students are to attend and participate respectfully. Again, we've talked about this forever. At least you allow them to ask. Oh, me, yes. I've asked them. I allow them to ask any questions they want. The school, on the other hand, will see any type of, questioning. Well, that's not entirely true. They may ask a question and they say, hey, it's God's will. Hey, we aren't to question God. Hey, our God is in his heavens and he does what he pleases. He owes us nothing. He made us and he can kill us. Who are you to question God for, drowning everybody because he was upset they didn't act right? Then it's disrespectful or rebellious when you say, but yeah, that's like psychotic behavior. Like, that's not loving. Oh boy, you've stepped in it. What's up, Big Bad Mama? Great to see you. Yeah, that is the crazy part. And that's the line where it goes from normal, like, hey, I don't think this is moral. Okay, well, don't question it again. Then you get suspended for saying, yeah, but you know what? It doesn't line up with everybody else's morality that says this is immoral. That's the bad part here. Anyway, let's move on. Here we go. So they have a service with music and scripture reading and media and testimony. Now, here's another issue, especially with these groups, these churches with these super Pentecostal kind of, vibes. The Holy Spirit's just moving, and you got all these, I call them the Marjorie Taylor Greene type Christians, these middle-aged, early to late 30s, early 40s, white women who just think that, I love my Jesus, and it's the most drama, it's the most infighting, and they're filled with these types of people in these specific denominations. And it really irritates me because these people are teaching the kids and they're saying, okay, yeah, we can give them media. Are you letting them watch Charlie Kirk and saying, listen, he was such a great Christian man. He wasn't no racist. He loved the Lord. Well, I don't know, because you won't let them take their phone out to take a picture of what you're showing them. Are you sitting there worshiping at the throne of Donald Trump in front of my kids during chapel? I don't know, because you've cut off any type of communication or being able to document that. Are you telling the parents? Because they sure as hell ain't told me nothing. What are we watching here? Who are we idolizing? Who are we telling the kids these are good people? This happens in a church setting once a week. I don't know. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm saying, what are you teaching them? What media are you watching in chapel? Huge red flag. This is how Christian nationalism and other extremist versions of religion get pushed on to kids in school. Right here. This is how the young Republicans, this is how those develop through their childhood years and their teenage years. God knows what kind of propaganda they're pushing. Then they go to, Liberty University, and that cesspit of hypocrisy and nonsense. And by the time they are graduating college, they're full-blown degenerates. They're full-blown perverts. They're full-blown racist, bigoted pieces of garbage because of the indoctrination. So again, I'm not crapping on this school directly and saying they're doing this. I'm asking, what is being taught? Because we can't see it. It's required and you can't question it, and you got to be respectful towards it. Absolute nonsense. But let's move through this. We're about done because half of this is like waivers and stuff like that. We're not going to get through that, and that's okay. I do appreciate everybody hanging out and interacting. This is good, and it may be my last stream for a little bit. Next couple weeks are going to be rough. It's probably going to be the van life for a little bit until I get my first check. One is bi-weekly and one is weekly. So hopefully that weekly check will come in week after next, and I'll be back in here. We'll get back to streaming and whatnot. Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out. So let's see, what else can we look at? Okay. Spiritual development. Don't y'all remember spiritual development class and that being a focus in y'all's school for y'all's educational purposes? No, you don't, because it's not required to educate people. But we're going to take this limited time we have to teach kids reality, and we're going to fill it more with Bible courses. Devotions are offered at every grade level. Retreats, mission trips, service projects are and will be offered. Students are encouraged to serve in local churches and communities. Some of that's good, some of that's psychotic. I'll tell you this. Well, you know what? I don't really want to go into that. I'll tell you this. The youth leadership of this church/school are just a few years older in some cases than the freaking high school students that go there. But there are very blurred lines at what appropriate communication is. I've already had a huge issue with one of the leadership of the youth group texting at the time my 13-year-old daughter directly, bypassing both parents. And then the school says, oh, we don't see any problem with that. He's a spiritual leader in her life. I swear on the love for my kids, this happened. And I thought, if I ever so much as hear a rumor that something's happened, yeah, he's a spiritual advisor to her. So of course it's normal for someone who's in their mid to late 20s, maybe 30s, maybe late 30s. I don't know. Who cares? They're a spiritual leader. Just text the little 13-year-old girl. This is how children get SA'd. And it happens constantly. Not at this school. I'm not saying this school. For clarity and for legal reasons, I don't know what's happened or not happened at this school. I'm saying the trend is there, and I'm saying the fact that I've already dealt with a grown-ass man texting my 13-year-old daughter at the time is not appropriate, and the pastor of the church that's associated with it told me it was. That's a true story, folks, but I'm going to move on before I say too friggin' much. All right. Students are encouraged to serve at their local churches, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Field trips, community standards. Oh, yeah, Simon, dead serious. On my love for my kids, this happened. I've got the audio recording of the phone conversation. Sure do. I want to go over a couple more things. We're almost done with this. Parental involvement, okay? Listen to the verbiage of this, okay? It's very important. Very, very important to look at how these things are written, because people spend a lot of time on these and they write them in a very specific way for very specific reasons. Much like I just said, hey, let's be careful what we say. I'm not making any direct accusations. I don't want to be held up with some sort of libel or slanderous thing. I'm just saying, hey, this is a red flag. Tell me what you think of this. Parents are primary educators and discipliners, disciplers. Here's the thing. If they're primary educators and have the ability, or they're saying, hey, look, y'all handle the discipline stuff. Y'all disciple them a certain way, Christian lingo on this. You're to discipline the kids is what it means, period. The parents are primary. Does that mean that the school is secondary? Because it says this, basically the school staff partners to support academic, extracurricular, and spiritual growth. So am I to take that as, okay, the parents are dropping the ball? I'll get to that in 1 second, Kelly. The parents are dropping the ball at home. let's just say, for example, this is not directed at my ex-wife. The parents aren't doing anything. So does the school step in and say, hey, you can't question it. It's biblical. And the Bible says to beat the hell out of your kids with a rod to honor the Lord and to break them of these bad habits. I mean, that's what it says. I'm sorry, I didn't write it. Matter of fact, it gives instructions to if they're super out of line and they will not repent, you take them out with everybody and stone them to death. So my question is, again, exactly how far will you go if the primary disciplinary person and the educator at home isn't doing their job? Again, I'm not saying anything's happening, but I don't know. You're sitting here and you're giving all these biblical justifications for all this stuff, and we want to honor the Lord and we want to follow his word. Well, his word clearly instructs parents to beat their kids physically with an object. So where do y'all draw the line? It's a little bit unclear to me. So I don't know. Again, these are just questions I'm asking, and not necessarily just of this school. All Christian schools have very similar guidelines. That's what it's all about. But hey, guys, they do background checks and make sure that their volunteers model Christian conduct and language. Oh, that's comforting. That's real comforting. That's real good. I feel so much better. And then again, the communication expectations. Practice grace-filled, Christ-like communications. Follow teacher, principal, admin chain. Keep contact info current. I'm coming to the leader of the school anytime I have an issue. I don't give a shit what the teacher says about anything. I'm sorry. I'm going to handle this with the principal. There's a school resource officer right outside the door, and we're going to talk this out. That's my view on the whole thing. I don't have any reason to go with through a teacher, but whatever. That did have some information on the chaperoning of these mission trips. Like I said, this leader in the school, took a bunch of kids all the way almost dang near to the West Coast on a mission trip. And then a few weeks later is when I find out that, he's just casually texting my daughter. So there's that part. But hey, he did a background check and, he modeled Christian behavior. So no worries there. Let me look at the chat real quick. Y'all are awesome for hanging out. I really appreciate y'all. What does your wife say about the texting? Kelly, out of respect to my kids. I don't want to get too much into that. I will say that it has been a years-long trending habit of me expressing a concern over email and never even getting acknowledged that I sent it or spoke it. So to be honest with you, I don't know, because those lines of communication have been almost exclusively cut off, and only in very extreme circumstances has there ever been even a small response. And even those responses are typically, okay, I'll handle it, whatever that means. So again, I don't want to get into smearing my ex-wife. She's the wife, or she's she is my kid's mother and they love her. And, I've been down the road of talking junk. I'll say that we clearly did not meet in the middle and have a common goal moving forward, because a lot of my concerns aren't mentioned. Marty, you bring up the book To Train Up a Child. I will say this. It's factual and it happened and I supported it, but the cult we left, members of that cult gave us both To Train Up a Child and Created to Be His Helpmeet by the Pearls, who are two of the largest, most disgusting pieces of garbage that have ever walked this planet when it comes to child abuse, physical child abuse. Kids have died multiple times. Kids have died after parents read that book and took it literally, because these dumbasses take everything literally, including the Bible. So when it says, hey, when the kid is misbehaving at 6 months, when they're barely figuring out how to move and they crawl off the blanket, just beat the hell out of them. Now, for fairness, we didn't do that. We did not do the blanket training, fortunately. But, as soon as you could walk, you got that little tail tore up all the time, whether by hand or by belt or by spoon. spatula. I mean, it was. I mean, when I got beat as a kid, it was with a Freightliner mud flap off the back of an 18-wheeler that was cut into the shape of like a flapjack the police used to have. And my dad would beat the crap out of our legs, our hands, our arms, whatever got back there to defend ourselves with this piece of leather that had metal coming out of it, little slivers of metal. And that's what we got spanked with. Matter of fact, one of my siblings put a mirror down their pants, in their underwear, so that when they got beat with this thing, it wouldn't hurt them so bad, and it shattered, and there was glass all that. This was how we grew up. That was normal, and so I adopted that for our kids. To my shame, not the flapjack, but the spoons and the spatulas and the smacking them, hard. I want to make it sting. I've apologized more to my kids for spanking them than I have anything else, because it was the most abusive thing that I've ever done, and I hate that. There was never any permanent injuries. There was never any permanent marks. But that type of behavior was acceptable. And me and my ex-wife both adopted it. And not only that, we were encouraged to do it by her family very strongly, very, very strongly. So, yeah, John, exactly. It was a different world. And yeah, Kelly, great point. I mean, 6th grade, in Catholic school, they could paddle them. Kelly's not that old. What, Kelly, about 27, 28? It wasn't too long ago. And they're paddling kids up to the 6th grade in Catholic. I'm just wondering, where do y'all at this school draw the line, or any Christian school in 2025? Where do y'all draw the line? If the parent at home's not doing the discipline and you really feel convicted by the Lord to really beat the hell out of these kids for Jesus. I mean, does it still happen? Well, we don't know. Behind closed doors, does it happen? I don't know. It is, the whole point of reading through this is not to shit on this specific school. It is, however, to point out it is a toxic, dangerous environment. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you, buddy. We are just wrapping up one of the most insane type of school settings that I think I've ever seen before. I am going to drop real quick, in case anybody wants to come hang out. I'm going to drop the link in the video. If y'all give me 1 second. Did I get your age right, Kelly? I'm pretty sure you can't be more than 31, 32. No, that's crazy that was going on even when you were in school. Either way, it is very, very toxic. All right, I have pinned the Restream link if anybody wants to hop in and join and talk about anything we've talked about here. You want to talk about a completely different subject. We just had No Kings yesterday. We can talk about that if anybody would like to. Really, again, this may be my last stream for a couple weeks, and it's 7:30. We've been running for a little bit now. I appreciate people hanging out. Damn, we've already been hanging out for an hour. I'm not going to run this all night, but if people want to hop in and say hey or have something they want to talk about, I'm going to leave that open for a few minutes. And let's just hop back real quick. Did I lose it? There we go. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. So here, okay. Here's a good. Here, yeah. This will be good. Be good. Give time for people who might want to join. If not, we'll call it a night. Conflict resolution and Christian conciliation. As Christians, again, you have to be a Christian to go here. Period. And it's not up for debate. But we don't discriminate. We definitely don't discriminate, and we don't. We accept everybody except for the people who don't agree with us. We pursue Matthew 18, verse 15 through 17. And I don't know what that says right off the top. Concerns should first be taken directly to the teacher. If still unresolved, the principal. Then the academic director, and then administrative staff. Again, bump that noise. Listen, it wasn't the school they're at now, but last school they went to, it fell apart so poorly. My ex-wife's family even was like, yeah, let's get them out of there. It was a shit show on skates, excuse my language, but it was a disaster at the first Christian school my kids went to after the whole excommunication thing. They literally Damn it. Well, okay. I'm just trying to hold my tongue for my kids' sake. I don't want, the bottom line is here, when you restrict the kids' ability to communicate with their parents in school, and you put things in place to where kids are not allowed to question anything, you are asking for trouble. That is all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. 21, Kelly. See, I was right. I was close. Okay, you going to jump on? That's fine, Kelly, if you want to hop on. Concern should be taken to the teacher, then the principal. They're going through this. Here's another thing, too. Formal reconciliation. Again, they want to use this idea of, well, we need to sit down and talk about it because Jesus don't like division in his body. So we're going to sit down and we're going to work this thing out between us. I'll quote, the schools, families agree that grievances between believers will be settled within the body of Christ. Meaning, you don't talk about this with anybody outside of, we'll get the pastor involved, but we don't want everybody knowing. We're going to do this like real Christians supposed to do. According to Paul, by the way, not Jesus. He didn't say shit about any of this. Paul did. Decades after Jesus died. And all that Paul was, I don't care, I'm going to throw it out there. All that Paul was exactly what Jesus was. Okay, Paul picked up on the cult that Jesus started, and Jesus picked up on the cult of the Abrahamic religions. That's what happened, if we're going to be fair. Paul put his own spin on everything. He did not align with Jesus in almost anything. Jesus picked up and said, you know what, I can use this Judaism thing, and I can tell them I'm his son in the flesh. I bet they'll follow me. That's all it is. Just like David Koresh, just like Charles Manson, this is cult behavior. Okay, Paul wrote the letter to Corinthians. Possibly, people like Dan McClellan and Bart Ehrman think that about half of the letters from Paul were forgeries, and who knows who wrote them. But this is how we have to do it because it's what the Bible says. And it leads to corruption, and it leads to deception, and it leads to shady behavior involving children. And we can't talk. Don't take it to the news. Don't you dare call the police. We handle it like Jesus taught us. Jesus didn't teach you nothing about this. Paul came in with his controlling, divisive nonsense long after Jesus was worm food. Just to be clear. Marty, you are more than welcome. My blood pressure's up, and I'll be honest, y'all. I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to be responsible. I've had no money, and as part of that, that's not true. The people who have sent me money, I've put towards things I need, not things I want. So my cannabis consumption is non-existent, has been for weeks. So maybe that is why I'm so uptight. And it took me over an hour earlier to film a 2-minute promo for a fundraiser we have coming up. Matter of fact, I'm going to play a fundraiser real quick, and I'm going to grab a quick drink. I'm going to let my friends jump in here, and we're going to get off this topic of church, of this nonsense. Basically, the rest of this policy is agreeing to all the nonsense that we just talked about. Okay. Accountability for unexcused absences from chapel because you don't want to miss the stories about Jesus turning the water into wine. I'm done with all this nonsense. I'm pissed. It's stupid. The bottom line here, and the last thing I'm going to say, unless one of my guests wants to bring up a specific topic about this Christian school stuff, when kids are abused, either physically or sexually, there is no one to blame but you and your policies for enacting things that are demonstrably dangerous and set the environment as rich as it can get to breed CSA and PSA against kids. When you hire some creep who's been sexually repressed all his life away because he grew up in this purity culture and he's pushed it all down, so when he gets 30 years old and he gets a chance to be around an 11-year-old or 12-year-old, he does unhinged things. I'm sorry, again, that's how this works. There is no one to blame but y'all selves. You write this stuff and you code it in Christianity, and you put kids at risk of being abused every day, and it happens once or twice a week. Look up the freaking news. It's disgusting. You want to have a Christian vibe in your school, that's one thing, but to force this stuff down everyone's throats and to make sure they can't even question it and or film anything that's inappropriate is disgusting, and shame on any of you involved who are responsible for this. It's disgusting. I'm done with the topic because my blood pressure's through the friggin' roof. Unless somebody else has something else to say. Let me see who we got. Do we have anybody backstage? I don't. Jesus, we got a. Yes, we do. Oh my God, Objective Ethics is with us. Please, I'm gonna take his call. Marty, if you'll give me just a second. I talked to Objective Ethics. I think. Let me go ahead and bring him on. You still there, bud? Are we on?
Yeah, I'm here, family. How you doing, brother?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Oh, I'm outstanding. Listen, I just caught your stream. I don't know why I didn't get the notification until just now, but when you said you posted the link, I wanted to come on here and say hello. We need to get together and do a sit down sometime.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Objective Ethics was, I think the last time me and you talked was over on Brooklyn Livestream. Really good conversation. Yes, dude. I've been wanting to talk to you specifically just because you've got a way with words, and you obviously have done some thinking on the topics, and I would love to have you come on and do a whole thing. I've got to be honest, and this is not to brag, but because I've had such a limited window for content creation, I think I'm up to like 15 or 16 content creators, a lot of them in the chat right now, including yourself at this point, that I need to get with. And it's just stacked up a list, man. So I apologize. What exact do you want to discuss anything particular right now, or are you just popping in to say hey? Because I've got Marty I can bring on as well, but you have the floor, man.
I actually did. Yeah, bring on. Plug a debate that I have coming up that I think the community might be interested in. I am an agnostic. I think that there's a lot of friendly faces I see in the chat there, so you guys probably already know. But I actually am an outlier in the community because I believe in objective ethics, and the majority of skeptics believe in subjective morality. So I have a major debate coming up against an atheist friend of mine on November 1st. I'm really looking forward to it because I don't know if you're really informed about it or not, Seth, but I've had some really strong debates against Christians regarding biblical morality and Christian nationalism. And Ember and Mark Reed actually did a debate review on my last debate. And I've done really well in those debates, but I'm getting tired of debating Christians because it's kind of low-hanging fruit. It's just, they just don't have good arguments for anything, frankly. So I'm looking forward to this debate about the objective ethics because it is a very difficult position to argue for. But I think I've got a very strong argument. Deconverted Man, I don't know if you know him from Dave's channel.
I do. I sure do.
Yeah, he's a solid dude. Yes, he's a solid dude. Well, I've gotten a lot of great advice from authors like himself, from PhD philosophers, guys who have doctorates in philosophy, and they've all said that I have a very strong argument for my position and that I should write a book about it. So I do think I have a really good argument to make for objective ethics, believe it or not.
Well, I'll be honest with you, and this may be controversial to some of y'all, but again, I'm trying to learn, right? I'm trying to grow. I'm not going to be right every time, and I'm gonna change my views according to evidence. But where I've landed on this, and a couple other people that I've talked to at length about this, at this point, I truly believe that there are some things that are so subjective and agreed upon so subjectively that it's almost like it's a subjective objective. I know that makes no sense, but in my brain, it's like, I think everyone agrees that morally it is wrong to pick up a brick and smash someone's teeth out with it, right? Like I don't think you're going to meet anyone who's like, yes, I actually enjoy that. So I think across the board, regardless of your upbringing or your race or anything else, I think there's certain things that everyone can say, hey, that's not right, right? Taking advantage of little kids. I think that's why it's so egregious to most of us. I think that is an objective moral stance. So you are right. But again, I don't know enough about the philosophy stuff. I know some of my story, probably just from hanging out. There are some people here that don't know. And so for me, I'm still trying to figure out basic science stuff because I was so stunted in my growth as a person because I was homeschooled on Kent Hovind and Ken Ham and Abeka and, those type of curriculums. I didn't know jack diddly squat until I was 30 years old. So I am, and Andrew, it is debatable. And all I'm saying is I feel like there are certain things that almost exclusively you're going to find people say, yeah, that is not a good thing to do. Oh, sure. We can go with who deserves it, but who says, yes, I want to have my teeth smashed out. You're not going to find those people. I don't truly think that. And Objective, let me give you the floor to maybe respond to what I said, because as a former Christian who's now a very outspoken atheist, and obviously my views have changed because of that, did what I say make any sense to you according to where you stand, and what are your thoughts on what I said? No, you're not.
Well, it does make a lot of sense. And the first thing I'd like to do is just commend you for stepping out of that dangerous cult, because it is a cult type of mentality, and it's the indoctrination goes deep, especially when you start when you're young. There's a lot of guilt and a lot of baggage that comes with it. So I really respect the fact that you're able to step aside from that long enough to embrace some skepticism. And that's really commendable. People just can't do that. And that's the danger of it, in my opinion. I actually don't have a problem with religions in general, because there's a lot of beautiful things, a lot of wisdom and stuff that they tap into. It's just kind of a universal wisdom. But unfortunately, it's all the baggage that comes with it that makes it dangerous and harmful. That's the problem. So I'm really just impressed with the individual. I also find you to be very intelligent, by the way. I've listened to a lot of your stuff you have to talk about.
Well, I appreciate it, man. You know what? I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. And I want to say this about leaving a cult real quick. And I'm going to bring Marty on. She's been waiting a while. And you're welcome to stay, Objective. When you leave a cult, it is not free. Matter of fact, it costs you possibly more than dedicating yourself to a certain religion. When you leave a cult, especially when your friends and family are still in it, it is life altering. It's not like quitting a job. You lose everything. You lose your family, you lose your friends, you lose any type of support, financial support, emotional support. You are, in a lot of cases, when it meets the cult criteria, pretty heavy, you are completely on your own. So I appreciate what you said. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. When you decide to pull the trigger and leave a harmful religious environment, it costs you everything. You have to start over from basically nothing the majority of the time. And I have put a lot of work in to try to be a better person, with the hope that as my kids get older, because again, I left, they cut off 4 hours a week, 3 years in a row, only supervised visitation. So I lost that. And the only thing that I can hope now is one day maybe they'll see through it too. But you lose a lot more than I think most people realize. So I appreciate you at least seeing that. I am trying with everything I have to hook up with people who know more than me, collaborate with people like Austin Sims, who is a evolutionary biologist, and he is teaching me things about science and about biology that I don't know. So I appreciate it. I'm growing. I just want everyone out there to know, if you decide to make that stance and leave that cult, you absolutely will lose everything you have. It's part of their goal, the excommunication, the shunning aspect, the cutting you off, the putting you through years worth of court, the keeping you away from friends and family, and the support from those people. It's all built into this cult stuff. So, dude, I appreciate you so much. And yeah, shoot me an email, man, or a message on Facebook. And I promise you, as soon as I get somewhere stable, we will absolutely get together. Oh, you're back. Okay. Marty, I'm going to bring Marty up. I don't see Kelly yet, so we're going to stand by for her. Hey, buddy, did you hear anything I said?
That was wild.
So, maybe you
I
dropped.
heard most of it. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I'll be honest.
Am I still here?
Yes, you are still here. You are live, and Marty is now joining us. Hey, Marty. Marty, the dirty pagan. Love it. Love it. Good to see you, Marty.
Hey, Seth.
What you got for us?
Yeah, I'm sitting here listening to this going, man, good thing I was raised by an atheist, because if I had to go to school like that, oh my God, it's a good I was raised by an atheist, but not to be an atheist. Um,
I love that. I love
yeah,
that so much.
my dad is from South America, so he had to go to Catholic school in South America. So he told himself when he came here that if he had kids, he wasn't going to force religion on their kids. He was just going to let them do whatever they do. However, when I started doing the pagan thing, he had no problems making fun of me for being pagan. Like he would just make fun of me, and like just my dad's kind of a thing, but yeah, like
I wish I had the opportunity to start over with my kids and to teach them empathy and compassion. See, but I didn't know that at the time. I was a Christian. I hate to sound rude to some of the Christians who aren't maybe like super ugly about stuff, but I was really not a great person. I thought I was. I was following what I thought the Bible was teaching, but I wish I could go back and teach my kids to treat people with decency and respect, regardless of all these things. I wish I had the opportunity to raise my kids in the same situation that you were brought up in. So I guess my thing is, and I'm not saying you're ungrateful, but be thankful that you weren't brought up with that years of indoctrination. Objective just said, we were talking about this is a lifelong thing. Get them while they're young. Seth Andrews has an excellent presentation about that topic, because kids don't have a shot. They
no.
don't have a shot. My ex-father-in-law ran the cult that I left. He passed away last year, unfortunately. And again, that's my kid's granddad. I try not to even bring him up much because, but his son took over. This kid's, he's got, several kids. Those kids don't have a shot.
Nope.
Because they have been so indoctrinated their entire lives and will continue to be. The only hope that those type of kids have are that the parents push too hard and the kid completely backs off because it's from birth. I mean, you're born on the pew. So I am thankful that you didn't have to experience a lot of that childhood indoctrination and trauma. And that's what it is. By the way, to be clear to
Trauma.
whomever may see this, it is psychological abuse to
it's
kids.
Abuse. It's abuse.
To teach them the things that Christians do. I'm sorry it is. I was petrified of hell to a point. At 5 years old, I wouldn't get on a helicopter ride down in Myrtle Beach, or maybe it was Pigeon Forge. I don't even remember where we were at. We were going to take a helicopter ride. I was 5, and I was scared to get on it because I thought, well, if it crashes, I'm not a Christian. I'll go to hell at 5. That is psychological torment, and I don't care how you wrap it up or spin it. That's abusive. And anytime I hear of someone who didn't come up in that environment, I am thankful. Trees, what's up, buddy? I'm so glad to see you. Thanks for stopping by. And man, some of y'all just hanging out the whole time. It means a lot to me. What else is going on with you, Marty?
How
you been?
I'm hanging in there, man. I just moved to a 3-bedroom house now. So
okay,
now
let's go.
It's like, right? It's like,
well, last I talked, you were still looking for a place to stay. So excellent.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, I got the house. And now it's like, I need stuff for my house. Or like, I'll think like, okay, I need night lights and I need kitchen towels. And then I'll order from Walmart. Then Walmart order will come in and say, oh shit, I needed something else. And I have to make another Walmart order stuff.
Yep.
I have a list, but I keep forgetting stuff to make, but
hey, listen, I pretty much where I'm at right now. I've got to rebuy everything. I've got a small storage unit with a little bit of stuff in it that I can't even get to now because the balance is overdue. So when I finally do get that out and get moved into a place, I basically have to start completely over. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of those runs like, oh man, where's the trash can? I need a broom or a mop or whatever, it's a stressful time, but I'm really glad you got somewhere stable. That is good. Were you able to participate in the No Kings, any of the No Kings stuff?
No, I'm in Georgia. So I don't know if there's anything in Atlanta. I didn't hear about anything. I don't know if I would have went or not. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Trump. I wouldn't have voted for him, but I wouldn't have voted for Kamala Harris either. Like I mean, I liked her. I just didn't like her as a president. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
I
I mean, that's fair. You know, I think at this point, the Trump we're seeing right now, a lot of us saw coming. Some of us didn't see it till the second term. Some of us saw it way before the first term. That was not me. I didn't see it that early on because I was still deconstructing. Where he is now, I think most everyone can agree, is not where he's been before. And the issues that people have with him now are pretty obvious. Now, for me, as far as the No Kings thing, I'll be honest, I did not have gas. I did not have food at the time. I was extremely depressed. And I was like, if I get locked up or hurt, they're going to come in here and take my dog because I'm going to be in jail or the hospital. They're going to euthanize him. I have nothing else down here. And then it's like, what do I do then? And I talked to a couple friends about it. As bad as I felt about not being involved with something so widespread. And I think, you know, and I'm so thankful we didn't see any type of crazy events. Nobody was hurt that I'm aware of. I would have loved to have been a part of it, even for just the historical aspect of it. But some people didn't go, and I think that was better for them at the time. And for me, I was not able to, but I would have gone. And, you know, maybe the next time something like that happens, I'll be in a better place to do something like that. But I'm just thankful no one got hurt. You know, the fact that Trump had authorized the artillery to be fired over a active highway during the same day as what I believe is a show of force. Like, okay, go ahead and find out then. Y'all want to stand up to me? I'm literally shooting artillery into the side of a mountain, and then post a video where he's flying a jet dumping feces on the people that he is supposed to be leading is very telling to me. And at this point, not unexpected, but, you know, yeah, I'm not sure. It was an AI generated video, but it was him in a Burger King crown, you know, again, mocking, I am the king. I am the dictator that you don't want me to be. That is a problem. But then you fly a jet over and dump feces on your citizens. Not a good vibe, but you know, I'm thankful.
Can listen to him talk and find him inspirational. My boss is there to me. There's people who voted for Trump, and there's Trump fans. My boss is a Trump fan.
I can see that. I can see people who wanted a change, who wanted something different in the beginning, and who have got to a position where like, oh, we have made a very large miscalculation and we are sorry. Versus some of the things that I saw about the protests, talking about, you know, I'm glad I'd love to have him as my king. He's the greatest. And it's like, y'all need help. Y'all have clearly never read a history book. But again, this sort of ties in everything we've already talked about with the indoctrination of the Christian schools. Kids aren't taught how to think. And then I don't know how early you came in, but in the first little paragraph from my kid's school, it talks about to graduate, they need to be critical thinkers. Yeah. It's like they don't even know how to read half the time, you know, like long form, like reading a book. Like, yeah, they can get by, but kids don't read a lot these days. It's like it is right for the pickings as far as these uneducated people who are like, oh, please roll over me, daddy. It's like, do you not see where this is headed? But it comes back to poor education, misinformation, disinformation while they're growing up. And it's sad, but there is a reason people like the Young Republicans group that were talking all that nasty, horrible stuff do that, because their entire lives, that's been the environment they're in. And it's very, very sad to me.
With a lot of the issues that you were having where you were talking about, you know, how they're teaching Jesus in the school and stuff like that. A lot of your objection is what anti-LGBT people use when their kids are being taught that gay people exist. They're taught, I don't want my kids to be taught that. I don't want that. It just
right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Marty. That is a good point, because those type of people, the people people that run my, and I will say this on record, I tell them to do not like LGBT people. They think they are evil and sinful and wrong, and they choose to treat them badly. They exclude them from participating. That is not right, period. I don't care how you spin it, or, well, Jesus didn't like it. Jesus didn't say shit about LGBT. He didn't.
That's true.
He didn't. This is superimposed nonsense, just like the rapture and just like a bunch of other crap from the Bible. It's what the pastor has taken and packaged up in this specific little version of what is true. I explained this to one of my kids the other day in this analogy, and I really like it. I'm going to share it with y'all real quick. Christianity is like a buffet. Everybody walks in the door. They're all there for Jesus, right? They're all there because they believe in the Christian God. And this includes Catholics and Jews and everybody who believes in Jesus, right? The Abrahamic religions, really.
Yeah.
You walk in, everybody's in a line, you get your plate. You go to the buffet and you pick whatever you want to, and you fill your plate up, and you get a second little bowl, and you're piling stuff in it, and you're just having yourself a good time. That part is when you go through and selectively pick what you think is Christianity, what you think is the right way. When you go to find a seat, here's the toxic part of religion. When you go to find a seat, you can only sit with people who have the exact same plate as you in most cases. There are some people, some Christian sects, that will allow for more diverse communication with other Christians or non-believers or whatever, but it is not the rule. It is definitely the exception. Christianity is a buffet. You fix the plate however you want it. You leave the parts that aren't convenient to you, and you take what you think will accomplish whatever it is that you want. What'll make you feel good. Hey, Jesus will approve of this because he can take this verse and spin it. And then when it's time to sit down and eat, the only people around you have identical plates. That is the issue. And most people will never pick the LGBT community and put a big scoop of that on their plate in these religious circles. It's very rare. Like I said, it's not the exception. It's the exception, not the rule.
Right.
To include those people. But that is how I view Christianity. You pick your plate out, you get whatever you want, and then you find people who agree with you on absolutely everything. And all it does is build echo chambers and toxic environments that are not productive, not for society, not for personal growth, nothing, Well, let me catch up on the chat while we've got Objective back. Objective, can you hear me, buddy? I know
you're coming in loud and clear. I don't know what's happening. It must be something on my end.
Yeah, you keep dropping in and out. But while you're back, you've got the floor. I'm going back through them. I'm looking through my chat real quick.
I do want to touch one of them, and I don't want to derail from what you just said here, but I think that there's a really good observation that you made when I was first in here. You're talking about how there seems to be kind of this universal distaste towards certain behaviors, and that makes things seem objective. You're still kind of tied to a more subjective mind. Completely respect that, because that does seem to be where a lot of skeptics lie. And I understand the intuition that's involved in that. And the reason that I believe in the objective nerd, just to get that out of the way, we can move on from that, is because I believe it's actually tied to evolution. And evolution is an objective standard that we don't have any control over. It's controlled by nature. And I have a really strong argument that's based on that. This argument actually goes back thousands of years, and I'm tapping into like Aristotle and some of the great philosophers. The reason this argument gets stopped a lot of times by philosophers is because of what's called the is-ought problem from Hume's guillotine. You can't get an ought from an is.
I've heard
But
that.
technically speaking,
vaguely with that.
in philosophy, you can get an ought from an is if you have what's called a bridge. It's a syllogism that is subjective and unproven. I believe I've come up with the bridge that I need to get me over that, to get me out of the guillotine, which makes my argument basically really strong. And again, because it's based on evolution and the evolution of our species as a social animal, social evolution is tied to biological evolution, and so on and so forth. So I've got a major debate coming up on November 1st on Tristan Gabriel's channel. I don't know if you know him or not. He's an agnostic like myself. He actually might be an agnostic deist, but he used to be a major Christian. he was a futurist, and then he became a full preterist, and now he's an agnostic. But he's got his master's degree in seminary. He speaks Greek. He knows the Bible inside and out. And it's 21st Century Minds, 7 p.m. Eastern on November 1st. So if anybody wants to check out that debate, I'd love to see you guys over there.
Oh, absolutely. If I'm available, I will be in the stands, my friend. And again, I don't know enough about it to have an intelligent conversation about it. That's not to say that I'm closed off to it, right? One thing that I've learned, and that I really am grateful that I've learned, even though I'm sort of without this community, physically I'm alone in this, but I know I've got a lot of people in the community that support me. I am open to changing my views on almost everything, with the exception of, child abuse and things like that, some things that you can't ever convince me are okay, because I realized, when I deconstructed, that there's room to grow and learn. And the only thing keeping you from growing was the religious dogma. So I appreciate your interest in this topic, if nothing else, and your ability to articulate it and present it. I don't know enough about it. I would love to learn more about it and have those intelligent conversations with you, or to listen to more of this stuff. It is interesting to me, but there is also an aspect of, we only have so much time. There's so many voices in this community, which is great, by the way, but I leave certain things to certain people. Like, I would much prefer to understand more about it, obviously, but to be able to say, hey, listen, I got a friend, objective ethics, who focuses on this. I'm more about the cult stuff. I like to break down behavior and see if it's high control or not. You've got Austin Sims, who does the biology stuff, and you've got AJ with Ways to Human, who really likes to focus on how the brain works and how we process certain things, and has a huge passion for neurodivergent people and LGBT people and things like that. Not that I don't, it's just, we can only do so much in one day. And I'm interested in learning. I will be there to support you and listen to that. I just want to build up a group of people who I can say, hey, you got questions on objective morality? This may be a better option than me, because it's not feasible to learn all of this stuff, I don't think. So I appreciate you being open and honest about what you believe and what geared towards. And I think that's how we build a community that makes a big change and a big impact. So plug the time and date one more time, if you don't mind, because I want to make sure it's documented. And I am going to take this, like I did my last stream, and kind of cut it down, and I'll include it in that as well. But it's November 1st.
November 1st, 7 p.m. Eastern. The channel is 21st Century Minds. So the number 21st Century Minds.
Awesome.
And
okay.
it's the preposition of the debate is the basis of morality subjective. And I'm taking the negative because I think it's objective. My opponent, his name is Tom's Takes. He's an atheist. He's going to take the affirmative on it. And it'll be a good debate. It's been a debate that's been happening in philosophy by the greatest minds. I mentioned Aristotle, but this goes through Hume, Kant, St. Thomas Aquinas. I mean, this has been touched on by the greatest minds in philosophy for thousands of years. So I'm looking forward to potentially making a significant dent in the argument myself. But I don't want to sound too arrogant. Who knows? I might get stomped all over the place too. We'll have to just see how it goes. But I do think the biggest.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. There's a little bit of a delay.
Oh, I was just going to say, the obstacle I have to overcome is Hume's guillotine that I mentioned before. I don't think my opponent is going to come out with a particularly unique approach to it, because subjective morality has been kind of the rock that most skeptics stand on, and it's we already know how that whole argument goes. So I think I've got a pretty good idea of where he's coming from. But I did want to mention something that you said. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
No, I'm sorry. My dog was about to jump on the bed, so I was going to tell him no, because he's not allowed.
No,
to
go
jump
ahead.
on the bed
Go ahead and make that point objective. And then I do want to engage with John and Trees, because they are talking about a topic that I think I'd like to expand on just a little bit before we wrap this up, and that is sort of the purpose of the No Kings thing, as far as how I view it, and I'd like to get their take on it. But continue, objective.
Just to touch real quick on what you had said, because I think I'd like your opinion about this, is that you mentioned the. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, you mentioned the the minority view within Christianity towards like the LGBT community and stuff like that. And I agree with you 100%. He had asked me one time, because Christianity is actually on the decline, at least in the US, as everybody knows, which I think is a good thing. But
Praise
somebody asked me,
Jesus.
well, what do you think, what do you think is going to happen with Christianity? Is it just going to fade away? And I said, no, I don't think so. I think what I'm seeing anyway is a transition to what's called progressive Christianity. I don't know. Are you familiar with this? Where now
Oh, I
Christian groups
absolutely am.
are actually becoming more
Yes,
accepting of like the LGBT community,
and let me tell
contradictions
you
in the
something.
Bible. And
Oh, let me tell you something, man. The Christian nationalist cult I left last hated progressive Christians, I think, worse than they hated Democrats and homosexuals, LGBT in general. We hated those type of Christians. Those weren't real Christians, no true Scotsman nonsense, because they accepted people that, again, Jesus never said one single word about, not a single word. And then, I mean, we grew up hating them too. I mean, they weren't real Christians. They were cults, Lutherans and Methodists, people who were a little more left leaning. Oh, they were not Christians. They were just as lost as I am now in their view. So I 100% agree with you. And just to put a pin in this with one more statement about what you just brought up. If you look at how many toxic, absolutely disgusting human beings have passed this year alone in the traditional American Christian view, John MacArthur, James Dobson, Vodi Bakum, another absolute monster. Anybody else in the chat want to help me out with any more Christian leaders? Those three for sure. Absolute toxic pieces of I'm trying to be nicer with my words. They were not good people. They taught a bunch of nasty stuff. But that old regime, when we lose John Piper and we lose Doug Wilson and we lose, I don't know, a couple more, those figureheads are dying off, right? When Kent Hovind passes away, for instance, he thinks he's going to live on forever through his videos and all this other stuff. There is not even anybody. Maybe Joseph, his tech guy, might try to take over the place. I don't know. But at the end of the day, when these people drop off, Ken Ham, when he kicks the bucket, this mindset is dying, right? Kids are seeing through it. Teenagers are seeing hypocrisy. They're seeing lies in the Bible, absolute demonstrable false information in the Bible. This old guard of Christianity, the super bigoted, homophobic, just nasty human beings, I truly believe that's dying off just because humans are learning more about empathy. Yeah, exactly. Captive Desk. He was an absolute, he was terrible. But again, when I was in the Christian nationalist cult, we damn near worshiped the man. Anything he said, Paul Washer, John Piper, John MacArthur, it was like, if they said it, by God, it has to be true. And that type of toxic behavior is dying. And I think for the sake of humanity, we can all celebrate that. Again, I'm not celebrating the death of a human being dying. I'm going to be clear with this for everybody listening. I know some people may disagree with me. Even with the Charlie Kirk thing, I wish he would have gotten to where I got, right? Where he was able to look and go, I was wrong. I was so wrong about so much, and I am sorry. And the only thing I can do is try to get better. Please accept my apology and see that I'm trying to change. That's what I hope for all these people. But the reality is, from the former leader of my group, my ex-father-in-law, all the way up to Vodi Bakum and everybody in between, there is no changing the minds of some of these people. They are, and I don't know if it's the sunken cost fallacy or they're just this hateful by the end of their life. It's just been hate their entire life of all these people. They're not going to change. And until they die off, it's not going to go anywhere. That being said, I don't want them to die. I do want them to change. But when they pass, when Charlie Kirk passed, regardless of anything else, the world got a little less hateful. When Vodi Bakum passed, the world got less hateful, demonstrably. So, I wish everyone was to change, but it's not going to happen. And I don't wish death on these people, but when they do pass, it makes for a better world, unfortunately. I am going to bring on,
Can you hear me? Or did
Go
I
ahead.
crash out again?
Yeah, you're good. You are good.
Okay.
No, I'm getting ready to
I
bring
don't know
on.
why my phone is having such a hard time with this. You know, the reason I'm not as concerned about Christian nationalism, even though I do find it to be a very frightening idea, what you said about the buffet. Which Christian group is actually going to win out? You know what I mean? Because they don't even agree within themselves. There's so much internal
Yeah.
conflict. So Christian national concept, I don't think it's as quite as big a threat as people think it is. I think it's a terrible idea, and it would be dangerous if they actually collectively agreed on something. But there's thousands of different denominations of Christianity. They argue with themselves more than they argue against atheists and agnostics. So I'm not sure that's such a big deal. But what I think I
That
have
is true.
noticed is, and
Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know if this is a scientific study behind this or not, but just as a personal observation, is that I find that most people who are skeptic or atheists tend to align with the left, and most people that are religious tend to align with the right. And so there seems to be a correlation in the mental approach. And I know there's a lot of indoctrination on both sides, frankly, that goes into that. But in particular, on the theist sides, and we look at religious people, we see a lot of cognitive dissonance. And I wonder if that doesn't line up more with their
absolutely.
political approach, or, so there's kind of something interesting about that as well,
Well, I think there's a part of our brains that knows that the mistreatment of some of these people is not right, and that may play into the belief of some sort of objective stances on certain things, like you're talking about. But I saw it even in my own family when I was still involved with this group. Like, you would say something and you could see the cognitive dissonance just fighting in their head like this, and it's like, just pick the opposite choice that you keep trying to force feed and you'll get it. But they can't separate themselves because, and again, most things that Christians believe, most Christians, aren't biblical. They are extra biblical interpretations from their particular preacher. If they don't read their Bibles, they just listen to what
You'll
they're
be
told.
surprised how much Christians don't read their Bibles. How many
Right.
Christians?
And so they're like, hey, well, my pastor said this. It must have been true.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Kelly, how are you?
Want to leave?
Your mic's a little muffled.
Your
there.
mic is a little bit. Yeah. If you can see about, maybe if you're using Bluetooth, maybe switch it off or turn it on, whatever the case. But you're a little muffled. We lost objective again. I'm just gonna say, while Kelly's getting situated, to John, because he brought this up, and Trees, we're discussing this. What was the point of no kings? I think when you look at the question, at least for me, was this the day we were supposed to kick off like some offensive? I don't think so. I don't think that would have been the right play. I don't think that is what the goal was. I think what the goal was, and surprisingly, shockingly, to my surprise, I can't find anybody on our side that was arrested out of 7 million people. Now, let me tell you guys something real quick about my childhood. Some of you may be old enough to remember this if you were Christians at the time, but the group Promise Keepers had a 1 million man march back in DC, or up in DC, back in the late 90s. I was maybe in double-digit years. And me and my dad went. A few other people from our church went, and there were 1 million people there. It was the most insane thing I had seen. We had 7 times that across the country, and not a single shooting that I'm aware of, not a single incident where there was an arrest from our side. But what we did do, whether he wants to admit it or not, those of us who weren't able to make it were represented by the 7 million that were, and Donald Trump knows when he puts his head down on the pillow at night, he may never admit this out loud, but this is how narcopaths operate. I've been very close, related to some by marriage. They can't stand when people go against them. And I think what No Kings accomplished was, we told Trump, we see you, bro. Just like when I called Kent Hovind a while back and just called him to say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I bought your bullshit for a long time, and now I see through you. That destroys them inside. And for him to post what he posted, and I'm sure in the following days we're going to hear some crazy stuff from him about it, he knows that a very large portion of the country is on to him. you know, I just don't think it would have been to start trying to overthrow certain elements. I personally don't think that would have been the right play. I think peaceful protest, because what it does, y'all, is, you know, they've been pushing this nonsense for a month or two now. Oh, they're domestic terrorists. Antifa, anti-fascist. Every one of my generation's granddads who went to some war were Antifa. They've switched this around. Oh, these are terrorists. You know, these liberals are scum. They're garbage. They're fill in the blank. That has been pushed for months. And what we showed everybody across the world is we're not the violent ones. The only person that I'm aware of that was arrested so far at yesterday's event was a MAGA nut job in South Carolina who decided she was going to pull a gun out on us, and she got arrested. We showed the world we're not who this asshole keeps projecting us to be. Right. And I think specifically, you know, everybody obviously, but to Trees and to John who were discussing this, I think that is a win for us. And yes, Trees, I think the next time this happens and it's 14 million instead of 7, it may be time to start peacefully walking up to doors of some places and saying, hey, we ain't leaving until you get these Nazi Gestapo pieces of shit thrown in jail, these ICE officers. As a former cop, I'm disgusted at law enforcement in this country in general, from the top down, disgusted. Now, I'm not saying there's still not cops who are against this stuff, but at this point, it's time to get out and disassociate, because everything right now is disgusting. And that's what I think we should do next time. Hey, we ain't going home and we're not working until all these thugs in masks, no identification, just pulls up and takes your family. No, and listen, I'm not condoning, you know, kicking off the shot herd around the world, but tell me what you would do if your child standing out in your front yard just gets picked up by some dudes in ski mask, no marked vehicles, no markings on their clothes. What would you do? I'm not gonna tell you what I'd do, but it's pretty obvious, right? Yeah. Like, that kind of stuff is gonna start happening, and these people are out of control. So that may be a solution. Hey, we're here peacefully, but we ain't doing nothing. We're gonna shut this economy down because ain't nobody going back to work until this Gestapo shit stops.
They did that. That actually happened, something like that. I forget what country. I want to say it was Sweden back in like the 80s when they were classifying being gay as a mental illness. Do you know how many gay people and probably straight people protested? It damn near shut the country down because everybody and their grandmother was like, we're not mentally ill. The whole country almost came to a stop. So it's possible to do.
You know what? This is a very difficult time for our country and for us as people. You know, this comment from Trees, I see where he's going with it, but there's certain things that when we start doing them, it's going to kick off things that are going to result in bloodshed, a lot more bloodshed than's already happened. And again, I want to be very clear. One life lost to these Nazi ICE agents is too many. Yeah. But when we start doing some of these things, we absolutely are going to kick off a very violent war.
Yeah, the media wants somebody on the left to pull some bullshit. So
what was the Promise Keepers rally?
There we go. Okay, we got Kelly back. What's up, Kelly? That's much better.
Can y'all hear me now? Do I sound better?
Yes, ma'am, you do. And thank you for stopping by. Simon here is saying that he was also at this rally. It was a 1 million man march on DC to take back this country and bring it back to its Christian origins. See, we've gotten away from the Christian founders, and we're not going to go down that rabbit trail, but it was to show, hey, we want Christian values, the moral majority type, the remnants of all that stuff. And it was a peaceful protest, but there were 1 million Christians that marched on Washington. and it looks like Simon may have been there. I don't think I was more than 10 years old. I don't know what year it happened, and I was born in the beginning of '89, so I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can look it up, but it's quite funny to see all these now atheists who used to be so neck deep in this, which again goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The tides are changing, and with these scumbags who were leading these groups dropping off, the MacArthurs and the Bauchams and the Dobsons and the like, their ilk, I think it's going to fizzle out to a certain degree. Kelly, you are extremely busy these days. You have gone from double digits to triple digits in like no time flat. Tell us a little bit about what you got coming up, and you've got the floor. You've got the floor for whatever you want to talk about. I'm shocked that people are still watching. I appreciate y'all being here. My goal is to do this at least once a week.
I'm not even looking at the stream anymore.
Oh, we got 10,
phone.
and for me, that is great.
Laptop.
But tell us, Kelly, what you got going on. I know you've got a big day tomorrow, and tell us what you got going on.
Married in '89, Lord, I was in the 8th grade. But
I was
fresh say to this is world. That one thing that you have to realize that as a Black woman, that many things that you guys are now dealing with, I've dealt with my whole life. I've always dealt with being the bottom of the totem pole. And it's a sad thing, you know, even in a religious state, being a woman, we had to be subservient to our men. And everything like that. Now, women are realizing that's not the way that we should be.
Right.
That drives me crazy. The subservientness to like, what are you kidding me? Last time I listened to a man, I was like 12, and he was my dad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
Kelly,
I didn't even listen to them.
Yeah, really.
Kelly has such a good point here, honestly, and I'm going to have her on my channel just to have a conversation about this topic specifically. And the thing that's really hit me between the eyes recently with the way that we are being demonized as non-believers, as non-MAGA people, I have genuinely felt like I have, for the first time in my life, sort of been like, you know, marginalized. And then I look at people like Kelly, who are my friends, and I'm thinking, my God, they've dealt with this their entire life. And I didn't even realize the gravity of how that feels or what that must have done to all of these marginalized groups. And I was so privileged as a white, straight male who was Christian in America. I didn't even understand what it felt like. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare directly, Kelly, or to take away from the horrible, but I'm thankful in a way that I have felt marginalized. I know that may sound crazy, but it makes me understand a little bit better why it's so important to include everyone equally and to not treat people this way. And I just hate the fact that it's happened to you and so many other people for so long. And us straight white dudes were like, they're fine. They're just complaining, you know, or whatever the attitude we had. And it's so terribly sad that people have lived their whole lives like this. As much as I hate the principle and the idea, I'm thankful that I've been treated poorly because of a belief now, because I kind of feel like, hey, it makes a lot more sense. But that pushes me even further to include everyone and treat everyone equally and to not view people by their sexual orientation or race or whatever the case. Go ahead, Kelly.
I would
love to.
Because nobody's on here that was a part of it, but I'm the affiliate leader for Black Nonbelievers of the Metro Detroit group, but I'm also a board member for the Michigan Atheist. And so a couple weeks ago, we had our board meeting online, and the president was talking about how he went to get some food. They didn't do his order right. And he ended up having to leave and go to another restaurant who made his order the right way. And then one of the guys was saying, oh, that person must have been a DEI hire. And I'm sitting there like, I'm at work, so I really couldn't talk. I'm sitting there, but the president jumped up immediately and said, "You're not going to say anything racist in this meeting or period if you want to be a part of this group." So the guy gets angry and starts mentioning, but that's just nepotism. I don't know why you have a problem with that when he's saying that. And I'm like, what? Are you serious?
That's not what the word nepotism means.
Exactly. We know. Yeah, exactly. So
what the word means.
so then the president goes and talks to him outside of there. He goes on a rampage and everything. He was like, "I don't know why you saying anything. It didn't even bother nobody. I was just telling a joke." I said, "It wasn't a joke to me.
Stop.
It wasn't funny to me."
Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that. So glad you said that right there, Kelly. And let me tell you why. When the group I was in, right, when we would say things to my shame that were similar to the Young Republicans text, not as outright nasty, but I mean, we had an attitude towards everyone who wasn't us. And when we would get called out like that from someone maybe that was not directly affiliated with the group, or, someone would say, "Hey, that's not really right." We would always, my kids, bless their hearts, do it to this day. "Oh, I was just joking." It's not fucking funny. Who's laughing? And why is it a joke to you? What you're being is a bully. You're being a kind bully. I was on another channel a while back and said this, and some people are like, what does that even mean? That is what Christianity in a lot of cases teaches you to be. You are hateful, but instead of being like a schoolhouse bully, you say it with a smile on your face, or you tack on a, "I'm praying for you," or "I just want you to live for the Lord." It's hate.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, bless your heart. And I just said that about my kids. You saw that indoctrination still leaking out, but
when I first went down south and they told me "bless your heart," I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." And then I figured out.
That ain't what they mean.
Oh, I know.
I love it.
Yeah.
Seth Andrews said it best.
"Bless your heart." Then I figured out what it meant.
Yeah, so. Seth Andrews said it best. He said, "Behind every bless your heart, there's a little tiny fuck you," and that is 100% true.
Not even a tiny one. Sometimes they just right to your fucking face.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, that example right there, I hope just that little bit will get some people who maybe see this later on to think about it. But you're 100% right. It's not, the point is, it's not funny to anyone but you and your racist friends. Not you, Kelly, but you know what I mean? The person telling it and the other people who think like them. No one else finds it funny. And the more I grow as a person and the more I understand empathy and just, putting myself in someone else's shoes for a second, if I can, the more it's like, that's disgusting behavior. Yet we're teaching our kids how to do it in churches and in public and in Christian schools. It's sad, but I think, and I hope for other people who are much more mistreated than I've ever been, I hope it is true that tide is changing. I hope that just like the toxic religious stuff dies out with people like MacArthur and Bauckham, I hope the racist stuff and the homophobic stuff and everything else that is divisive and hateful.
But do you think that it ever will? Sally, I don't think so.
Well, that's a good question for me to ask you.
I don't want to be the pessimistic like that, but I'm on that level. Because now we have somebody in office that really is trying to take away everybody's rights. Mm-hmm. And what's sad thing I want to say is that a lot of women cis white women don't understand. He's taking away their rights too.
And
we're trying to help y'all out, and they don't realize it. None of them do understand. A lot of them don't understand.
They don't, and I don't think they would care if they understood it.
When this country was founded and the Constitution was implemented, it was for cis white men that were landowners. They don't care if you're poor. They don't care if you're black, you're white, you're Hispanic. If you don't fit into those criteria, then they don't care about you. So even somebody like you, even though you are a cis white man, they don't care about you because you don't make a certain amount of money. They don't.
Sorry, I got a phone call from my kid. I heard most of that. Here's the thing. One thing about who's running the country now is I truly hope that enough people see, even the Republicans who didn't vote for this crap, I hope they will see next election cycle that, hey, we need a break from all this extremism. We need something different. I hope that is the case. But I will say this, I think you may be right. I think you may be right about it not ever changing on the grand scale. But I think there's a lot of people that you, having experienced that, can talk to in a way. And when certain individuals' minds are open to hearing it, I think you can enact change. And the reason I say that is because race was the lowest on our issues board, I guess, in my life. It was more so the atheists and the Catholics and the liberals and things like that. But the people who prioritize being racist over other things will be able to change, just like I was able to let go a lot of my hatred for the LGBT community. I mean, Ember and Arden and Dr. Ben, those three people forced me to look at my ugly side, my hatred of those people, and realize that it was wrong. And it was because of what they're doing. It's because of their content. And it was because of my willingness to open up and change my views. If you can find people, and people, people in the Black Non-Believers organization can find people, Mendisa, others can find people who are open to changing, I think you will enact a lot of individual change, Kelly. And I think your channel, as it grows, is going to start really changing some minds for the better. I really do, because it is possible, because I changed just like I think they can change. And at least that's my hope. I want to see people treated decent and fair and nobody hated on. I want to see that. And I think it is possible. So, I would just encourage you to keep having these conversations with individuals, because I know for a fact that people do change. And I think you are going to be able to change more people than you realize. I really do.
In order to change, there's something.
I think we also have to kind of look at the kids that are coming up now. You know what I mean? Like some of the kids that are growing up in these hateful environments, maybe when they grow up and they learn things in school, like gay people exists, and they sort of start to deconstruct from younger ages.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the change is going to happen from the kids coming up. I think it might not be too late for some of the adults, and some of the adults it might be too late for. But I think all the kids that are coming up, all the young people that are coming up are gonna change. Not to sound corny, but they're gonna change the world. And I think
I agree.
Yeah, you think, right? From the
Yeah.
once they learn more, because it stems from being uneducated, which you said earlier, Seth. If they don't know no better, then they're gonna think that some really nasty stuff.
I was raised where my father was very bigoted. He did not want any white people or anybody. Hispanic people were okay, but if it was any white or Middle Eastern, anybody no, he would get mad when I would have him come over with my friends. He would be angry. He was like they just the devil and stuff like that.
Damn.
So I came from another situation of that. And I'm like, Dad, that's not right, Dad. You can't pick, because certain people might be a certain way, to say everybody's that way. Because my mom had a lot of Jewish friends. And so I saw how they treated me, and they were like my family.
My dad was like that too.
Well, I've come to terms with something. I have given up a lot to take the stances that I've taken, to take a complete 180 from how I was raised and how my dad was raised and how my children and my ex-wife were raised. And it's cost me time. It's cost me, I'm sure, years off my life. If you see pictures of me before all this happened, like I was close to 100 pounds heavier. I've lost a lot. I've stressed a lot. I've cried a lot, but I have viewed it as this. if I have to sacrifice myself so that my kids aren't how I used to be, it's worth it. And I have come to terms with that. If I never see the change that you and I are about right now, Kelly, I know that I have put in the framework that my kids and hopefully theirs will be able to continue to build on towards a more decent world, really, treating people differently than we have, whether it be your upbringing with brown people, for instance, or certain people's upbringing with black people or Catholics or atheists or whatever the case. It may be that we don't see it, you and I. It may be that our kids' generations are the ones that go, you know what? My dad or my mom, they took a stand and they're dead and gone now, but I followed that up and I'm actually seeing it and more people are, following suit. That's what I've sort of resigned myself to, because I don't know that I'll see it or you'll see it, but I do think that our kids might if we continue what we're doing. And that's encouraging to me. Because I'll tell you right now, without diming my kids out, they have questions. They have genuine questions. They have things that don't make sense to them, even in the environment that they've been raised in. I've had conversations with some of my kids about, I don't care if somebody's gay because I want to be treated good, so I'm going to treat them right, And then they tack on that, well, I don't agree with their lifestyle. Fine, at least you're not openly calling them, slurs and being open about it. We can change maybe that mindset of I don't agree with their lifestyle. We can address that, but you're not as homophobic as I was. And I wasn't as homophobic as my parents. And I'm just hoping beyond hope that my kids' will pick up the flag and continue to run it forward until we have something that looks like unity across the board.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
Kelly,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Seth.
Oh, I was going to say I'm going to give Kelly the last word. One of my kids just called me. They're getting ready to go to bed for school. I'm going to call them.
I put my link in for my YouTube
I just
chat.
So Detroit Atheist Queen is Kelly King on YouTube. In the edited down version, I'll make sure I put your information on screen. Please go subscribe. She's got you got 3 different things you're doing tomorrow. You're going to be, obviously, if you're not familiar with the Jugs and Java show, she's a co-host on there. Tell everybody what you're doing real quick tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
So Monday, tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is Eastern, so it's an hour ahead of you. We'll be doing the Java and Jugs, which is a podcast with Ryan Kiltastic, Amber, Maya, Lilith, myself, and AJ. Oh, and Jess
How
as
to
well.
Roll an Asteroid,
So,
right?
Yep. So it's 8 of us, and we get together and we talk about different subjects. Tomorrow we're talking about no kings, yes queens.
Let's go. That's going to be a great episode.
That's our thing for next week. We don't even we basically think of the title, and whatever we talk about, it just comes from the top of our head. And we have really good conversations.
I love that format. I love that format so much. I actually was talking to Chris Mallard about, when there was sort of that time where I think Ember was the one who sort of took it over. I sent him a message. I'm like, hey man, look, he was working his tail off, not getting a day off hardly, and trying to do his own stuff. I said, man, honestly, let these ladies take over and run with this and take a long weekend every weekend. And I'm so thankful.
I was shocked that I was asked to be a part of this. I was really happy that they felt that I was worthy enough to be part of the Java and Jugs family.
You are, Kelly. Just to be clear, I know you don't see it. I have this issue too, but you bring an aspect to that show that is needed, and that's what I say all the time. Every voice matters.
I thank you so much.
We all have a voice, which is the great part about this community. We all have these experiences, and we all have a voice, and that goes from me to you to the host and to the content creators, and then people like Marty. People like Objective Ethics. I don't think he does content, but I know, and I could be wrong, correct me, but there are people who watch, there's people who create, But when we come together, I promise you, all the voices are needed. So, Kelly, keep doing what you're doing. Right after that show, you're going straight to Better Than Ember's channel. That's
Yeah,
for
and
an
she does
hour.
the
And then
hot. She does the hot topics for
hot
like 2 hours,
topics.
from 11 to 1.
And tell me real quick, your plans. You're starting a new podcast tomorrow, yeah?
Yes, it's called Secular Activism Unfiltered. I forgot the name. My mind's blank. But yeah, it's called Secular Activism Unfiltered. So I'm trying to spotlight a lot of activists in the community. Some of them I have on the podcast will not be famously known. Others will be. So I'm trying to do that. Well, I will talk to them. I think the one I'm most excited for is the Canadian takeover. I will have Steve Cadis, Jess Armstrong, and I will have Jason Fear on my show.
Let's
If
go.
any other
That's gonna be a
Canadians
good
want to be
episode.
on the show, more than welcome. But those two will be on my show. I'm not really sure of the date for that, but Monday, tomorrow, then Tuesday. Monday, I'm having Kelly Laughlin on my show. He'll be on there
Let's go. I was just
tomorrow.
talking to Kelly before the show. I love that dude to death.
Yeah.
That is
And
excellent.
then
So tomorrow
Tuesday,
he's going to be on your debut episode with Kelly. That is so
He's
cool.
gonna be on
So
there.
cool.
And then Monday and then Tuesday, the next day, I'll have Anthony Greenblatt, who is the Michigan Atheist president. I'll have him on there.
Telling y'all, if you haven't subbed Kelly's channel, get in now before she hits triple digits, because she's going to blast off and you're going to want to be able to say, I was in there in double digit territory when she's getting her plaque. I'm telling you.
I think once I get 100, I might do like a question and answer, more of a thing.
Well, I'll go ahead and in closing, I'm going to go ahead and say, obviously sub all of her stuff and go watch it. And I'll be posting links. It's the first time I've announced this publicly, but as soon as I get settled down, I have finally landed on a show similar to this that I'm going to be doing every week with various people just like you. And I'm calling it Control Alt Belief. And it's a play on Control Alt Delete, which is a nerdy thing. If you don't know, it's how you cancel programs, stop things running on your computer, right?
Yeah.
And because of this indoctrination, because of this manipulation of people, it literally is like a task in a computer that needs to be shut off. And so I want to view it from the angle of deprogramming, whether it be racist stuff, whether it be just crazy off the wall religious stuff that we hold on to, and this indoctrination. I want to be able to bring people on, people like Kelly, people like Austin Sims for some of the science stuff. And we are literally going to try to delete the programming that a lot of us have grown up in. And I'm super excited to get a stable place, because one of my first guests, if not the first, will be Kelly King. So please subscribe to her. Let's get her to 100 before her shows are up tomorrow. Go ahead, Kelly.
Before I forget, I want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
We have the trifecta back. Godless Granny, Kelly Laughlin, and myself. November the 8th, we'll be on Godless Granny's channel. So I forgot about that, but we've already talked about it. I believe Mandisa will also be a part of it as well. But we're going to get all three Kellys together. But yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot of these topics as well. But it will be on Godless Granny's channel though, November the 8th at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I will be sending a link later on when I get it and everything.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I cannot wait for some of your content, Kelly. Listen, we could sit here and talk all night long, and I have appreciated so much.
You have your wonderful children that trying to call you.
Yeah, well, they'll probably at this point they'll probably be in bed, and depending on what other family members have seen this stream, they might not answer the phone tonight, if you know what I mean. There may be some people irritated about the content of this particular stream, but I do want to say thank you for everybody who's hung out. I appreciate y'all. Kelly, thank you for stopping by, and Marty, as always, you are welcome anytime. To the other guests that stopped in and everybody else who was here, I appreciate you. And until we meet again,
so
you're building each other up.
Yes, I'm actually
dirty pagan.
Yes, I'm more of an agnostic pagan than
I'm going to call the kids back since you guys are still talking.
Okay.
People are still here. I'm going to mute, and I'm just going to let y'all rock on.
Yeah, I actually met I met Mandisa at Dragon Con last year in Atlanta. She was very, very nice.
How come I never met you? Because I was there as well. I've
You were
been
at
friends
Dragon
for a few
Con?
months. Yes, I was. I was also
Which,
there.
which year?
I went last year and I went this year.
Really?
Yes, I did. Yep, I was
Oh,
there. I sure
get out
was.
of here. Wait,
Yeah, I was there. I was there.
I'm trying
And
to
and I was
think.
at the table, and I was at her table too, saying the back, I believe his table and everything.
I'm
Unless you
trying.
went into the room, I didn't go. I wasn't part of the panel or anything. I just have to. I just helped with her tabling and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where I met her. Is at her table, and we talked a little bit about her debate in quotes
Oh
with
yeah,
Ken
yeah.
Hovind, because
I was
AJ
there, right?
Atheist Junior did a coverage of that. So we were talking about that. I'm
Yeah.
trying to. Did I see you? Maybe just didn't know who you
You
were.
probably didn't realize. Yeah, I was kind. I was not. I'm more vocal and stuff now. I was quiet and shy, and unless you came and spoke to me, I probably didn't say nothing to you either.
That's
But
probably
yeah, dirty pagan. I wanted a pagan on my show. That's what I was thinking about.
okay. I mean, sure.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be
I've
cool.
been practicing for a little over 20 years, practicing witchcraft for a little over 20 years.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
It's
That
been
would be cool.
it's been extremely helpful to me in my life. And I don't use my that's the difference between us and pagans and Wiccans in general. We don't have to recruit anybody. We don't have the Great Commission to fulfill, because the Christians have to fulfill their Great Commission and recruit everybody to Christianity. So we don't have that. So I won't be trying to indoctrinate anybody else to paganism, because we don't do that.
Yeah, because I was trying to in my group, really in the Michigan area, was trying to have like friendly debates about different topics with not with people that were still in the religious spectrum, maybe not necessarily Christians, but talk about different subjects in a friendly manner. And they was like, what do they try to convert us? I think they're gonna do that. That's not the sense of the conversation. It's just to talk about different things. And it's just what I do with my glasses, Lord. I don't want to
Yeah.
put the light on.
We don't have that. It's not, if someone's like Seth, I'll use Seth's cafeteria buffet analogy. Like, as a pagan, I can pick and choose different deities from different religions and different practices and do my own kind of thing. The only thing is that, and there are some other pagans that say, well, a real pagan doesn't do this and a real witch doesn't do that, but we don't have that as bad as Christianity has it, or as bad as the Abrahamic faiths have it, because I'm sure they do that. That's that. They have that in Judaism and Islam as well. But for the most part, we don't have that no true Scotsman fallacy of, well,
Okay.
again, you'll have those those witches that'll say, well, no real witch does this, or a real witch does that, or a real witch follows the rule of three, and a real witch doesn't follow the rule of three. And you just do your thing and don't bother nobody, which is pretty much what we do.
Yeah, I remember when my kids, we used to like watching Charm together. I like both
Yeah,
one, the new one and the newer one too, which I don't know why they cut it so short. But um my mom would be like, why are you letting your kids watch that devil show?
yeah,
And I'd be like, what? Or like I couldn't watch like Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
yeah,
Now the one in Netflix was a little darker, but the ones
yes,
that came on it was a Sabrina Teenage Witch when I was a kid. Then when I
yeah,
got a little older, they came with the TV show.
yeah.
But
Melissa Joan
my mom
Hart.
would get mad when I watched stuff like that. I would get in trouble. Can I watch
Yeah,
stuff like that?
yeah. That's. I live in Georgia, so can't tell you how many times I've heard about being a devil worshiper. And I'm like, we
Yeah, oh yeah,
literally don't even acknowledge the existence of the devil. That's a Christian concept. So we don't even have that. Like, there's no devil in the craft. Are there people that would that might incorporate Lucifer, or maybe the entity of like the image of the devil as a way of, as their because we're very male female balanced. Christianity is real male heavy. Paganism for the most part, and there are female only covens and there are female only traditions and stuff like that, but for the most part we're real equal centered, like it's real equal between man and woman. We need each other, but in order to create children and such. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, but
that's all they're good for.
yeah, right, yeah.
I'm just playing, y'all. Don't think I'm serious. But
Oh
yeah,
no, that and killing spiders. Other than that, I don't need a man. I'm good. I had enough of it.
spiders. I would never think about killing one.
Oh,
Certain ones I would not want to be around because they poison would kill me. But I'm typically the little house spider. I'm not worried about those things.
I'm a bad pagan. Well, no. If they're in my house, if you're in my house, you are now vermin and you're fair game. If you're outside, then I leave you alone. Stay outside. Stay your ass outside and don't come in my house. Because I have a dog and a cat. The last thing I need is for one of them to either eat one and get sick and or be bitten one and get sick. Because vet bills are expensive. And they're both not that bright. So I don't need any of that.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
I don't need any
Tell
of that.
me about it. They mostly be in my. I have a couple in my basement. I think it was one big one in my mom's house. I'll be like, bugs don't bother me. I leave it alone.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, ladies?
Spiders.
I walk back in.
Spiders.
Okay. I walk back into zero context with things that y'all are keeping in your basement, and I'm like,
No,
what's
talking
going
about
on?
men.
There's a
Keep
few
them in our
spiders in my basement. I'm not bothering them. I'm leaving them alone.
That's the best idea. I will say this. I took my dog out to use the bathroom, called my kids, and I thought, you know what? Kelly and Marty have full control over the conversation on my stream. So just so y'all know, I do have some trust in y'all's behavior to not get me completely shut down permanently. And I appreciate you keeping the conversation
You about to
going.
get demonetized.
Come on, Kelly, don't do me like that. Just because you about to blow up doesn't mean that that I would like to be shut down. I don't be doing that to the competition.
How you doing?
What's up, Joe, man? How you doing? We have been shooting the crap for 2.5 hours. Joe, the Kentucky atheist.
Oh, hey, Joe, what's up?
Hey, Joe would have had a great take on the No Kings thing, and I'm sure he's probably when he does his political stuff, I don't know if anybody's aware, but he just started doing his political show back again with Robin Webster, and that's always a great take. So yeah, Joe would have definitely been an interesting take on what we were talking about earlier. But I appreciate y'all keeping the show running while I was taking care of my kids and my dog. This to me is, people talk about Christian fellowship and things like that. This to me is my version of that, hanging out with people, but having conversations that, hopefully someone will stumble across this. And you know what? That makes me think. And if I can achieve that, that is something that I think is worth doing. And I do feel like it's a form of community when we get together and talk about this stuff. It encourages me. We build each other up. We, promote each other's stuff. And this to me is a much more healthy group than any religious group anywhere in the world. And I would put my money on that.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I feel kind of, I don't know if maybe like a traitor is the correct word, because I have beliefs. I have, I guess, a religion. I don't like calling paganism a religion, because when I think of religion, I think of like oppression and repression, like the face of Abraham. That's what I think when I think religion. But at the end of the day, technically, I have a religion, and I get on more with atheists than I do with believers, because I don't know. So it's kind of strange for a believer in something to get on with atheists.
Well, here's one thing, and I'll be honest with you right now, Marty. There's a part of me, and I'm sure it's the scar tissue from the psychological damage of Christianity and my life experience. But I hear you say I'm a pagan, and I'm thinking, I don't even know what that means, because growing up we were taught they worship Satan, they're going straight to hell, stay away from them.
Yeah.
But going back to the series that I am planning to start when I get some more stability, those are the conversations that I'd like to have. I've told Kelly the same thing. I've talked to Austin about it. I want to bring people on with different perspectives so that I can understand these things. There should never be a fear in learning, sharing someone else's position, in that stuff. And we understand each other and really start to grow as people is having those conversations. So if you are willing, and like I said, there's a lot of people on this list at this just because I've been so bottlenecked with my access to film. But for you and I to have a conversation and kind of break down what that means, what it even means to be pagan, I am learning just like other people who may find this. And so that's a conversation I would be interested in having because I don't even know what that means, to be honest.
Sure,
I don't know
I'm
if
down.
it's,
I'm down.
I've
you know what I
already
mean?
asked her first.
Oh, now, listen, Kelly, listen, okay? You
All right,
come
there's
on my
enough
channel.
for me to go around.
You come on my channel, Kelly, and then you start stealing people that are on my
sniping your
show
guests.
right out from under me. And I thought we was cool, honestly. And you over here stealing my guest for your channel.
Snatchies.
You know what? Hey, listen, you know what? The cool thing about it is my conversation with you, Marty, is going to be completely different than Kelly's. And regardless of who does it first, I think it achieves the common goal of starting conversations, opening people's eyes and minds up to things that are different and are new and just learning and growing. So I'm just messing with you, Kelly. You know how I feel about you and your content. I think she's going to blast off and see the rest of us in the dust. That's my take. We'll check back this time next year and see where she's at. But I got a feeling about Kelly. Huh?
I ain't gonna be no Forrest now. You so silly.
Forrest who? Forrest Griffin? Forrest Valkai?
Yeah, I ain't
love
gonna be him.
Oh,
Mhm.
the thing I like about him and a lot of people really in the science specific community, Gutsick Gibbons the same way in a lot of ways. They are so good at articulating what they understand. Austin Sims is one of my favorites to listen to because it's just the way he's presenting his information. It makes it so easy to learn. And Forrest is fantastic with that. But I'm sure you'll have him on, Kelly. I'm sure you'll have him on along with Seth and Aaron and Matt and all these other, top dogs. Just give it a few weeks.
I told you who
maybe
my
a few
goal
months.
is.
Who's
I
your goal,
told you
Kelly?
what.
Let's do it publicly. Who's your goal?
Red Link.
Rhett and
Remember?
freaking Link. Rhett and
That's
Link
who.
with
That's my
21
top
million
goal right there. Him
subs.
on my show.
Listen, if you
I've
can
been
pull that off,
there for years.
I am not worthy. If you can get Rhett or Link on your show.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Well, to be honest, me and Kelly were talking about this earlier through messages because one of my kids made a cross stitch. Actually, I'll show it right here. She cross stitched Rhett and Link and the disc and the Wheel of Mythicality, and she posted this to their Facebook, and they reposted it, and they've got like 21 million subs. I told her, I said, listen, sweetheart, I said, you know how many people tag them every day? Don't get your hopes up. And within 10 minutes, they reposted it. And then Kelly tells me, hey, I think they were talking about it on one of their shows. But I bring them up because when I was deconstructing, and to be fair, even my old cult used to love Rhett and Link. And then they deconstructed, and we can't watch them anymore. We grew up my kids grew up watching them, and we were, that was like family bonding for us. And that was cut off, information and entertainment control, that kind of thing. You cannot watch them. They're lost, blah, blah, blah. So that hurt me a lot. But in that process, I was able to watch Rhett and Link both deconstruct and tell their story. And I remember when they did that episode, that series of episodes on their podcast, at that point in my life, I was still married. My ex-wife knew that I was deconstructed or in the process. I didn't tell a lot of people, but it got back to her family, and it was getting bad for me. I felt very isolated, very alone, and scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew what was coming. I could see the writing on the wall with the separation and stuff. And it was a dark time for me. And Rhett and Link specifically had such an impact on me and just made me feel validated and like there were other people who were going through this too. They hold a very special place in my heart, not just because me and my kids grew up watching them, but because they've been through the same things. They were genuine believers like I was, after being told over and over, you never truly believed, you weren't ever really saved. It's like you look at them, they worked for a mission organization. Me and my ex-wife went and worked for a mission organization when we first got married. I mean, we were volunteer missionaries. And so
I
a
went to
lot of
Papua New Guinea on mission work. So yeah.
We shared a lot of common themes, and they're funny. They're super funny. It's a little cringy sometimes with Link, but they're funny dudes, but they're honest. And, especially watching Rhett now as he's pushing 50 now. And just the more he explores and understands things and he's sharing this with his audience, it's just very encouraging. And Joe has the best point that's been made all night. It's the wide variety of perspectives and experiences that makes this community strong. And that is 100% true. That is what I love so much about this community, because it doesn't matter who you're attracted to or, what you believe or don't believe. At the end of the day, we seem to be able to work through these little nuanced differences in each other and have productive conversations. And a productive conversation was just nothing that ever happened in my experience with Christianity. It was get with us or get run over, period.
Yeah.
And I just love even if I don't agree with some people, there's people that I don't agree with about a lot of things, especially, some of the political stances of, hey, it's, time to take up arms type situation. I don't agree with that, but it doesn't stop our conversation. It doesn't stop our friendships. It's just a different environment. And Joe's 100% right. That's what makes this community strong. That's why we can be here together and we can support each other. We've got a fundraiser coming up I wish I had the information. I am going to plug this real quick for the sake of doing it. It's going to be over on Skeptic Haven. I believe it's on the 25th. Kelly, are you familiar?
It's coming up Friday. I know that.
Oh, it is.
And
this
also,
Friday.
Black Non-Believers also has a fundraiser too. They want to take
plug
all
that,
our money.
please. Plug that real quick.
I'm
while I
about
find
to do
the
that right
information.
now. Okay.
Please
and
do.
you do the other fundraiser.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Hey, tell us about the candy corn challenge real quick while I find the details on this Skeptic Haven one.
Oh, I like candy.
So basically, okay.
What's that, Steph?
So basically,
I'm about to kick you out of here.
Now, we don't like candy corn.
Oh,
So
you people are crazy.
For the month of October to the 31st, if you get up to $15,000, then Mandisa and I, and now Cynthia joined in, will eat a bag of candy corn, and we all hate it. So that will be the goal.
I used to be able to eat them by the handful, but now I can only have like 2 or 3 at a time because I feel the sugar rotting my teeth. So
I
like them.
I don't know how we're gonna eat a bag of candy corn. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but that's what
Get a big glass of water, and,
do.
Take a deep breath, and that's a pretty good challenge. I have I'll be busy on Halloween. Halloween's called Samhain. It's a religious holiday for me, but I'll be taking breaks and checking out some stuff on YouTube in between.
That would have been nice if we could have connected for that.
For Halloween.
About that. Yeah, I won't be in town.
Oh, okay.
But I put the link for the fundraiser for the Black Non-Believers thing, the GoFundMe one. But yeah,
there it is.
Are you able to post that, Kelly? If not,
I posted the link on your thing.
Okay, very good.
You want me to do the Skeptic Haven one too?
No, I've got it pulled up right now. I just wanted to make sure that you were able to get yours in there.
Yep,
go check out the GoFundMe. It will be hilarious to watch Mandisa and Kelly both sit down with an entire bag of candy corn. Listen, I would rather eat this water bottle than eat a thing of candy corn. I'm not joking. But from what I understand, both of them hate it as much as I do. And if they reach their goal, and let me tell you something. And listen, I really like Mandisa. She was the first big name atheist I ever met back in 2019. I'm not throwing shade, but Kelly, I need you to pass this on to her next time you talk to her. You can't agree to do something like this and then say, "Oh, I might eat it over a couple different sessions. I might." No, you got to sit down. I don't care if it takes
Oh
6
no, you gotta
hours.
eat the whole bag in one
I
shot.
don't listen. I don't care if you got a trash can and you got to cover it up and puke some of that up. You got to eat the whole bag, Mandisa. Come on now.
In one
If you raise
sitting.
all that money, yes, absolutely. So you tell her.
That's how that works.
You tell her it came from Seth. That if she makes that goal, I'm gonna be disappointed, man. You got to eat that whole bag in one sitting. I
Yeah.
hope you guys make it. I really do. I think it is fantastic. I think it's a great. It's obviously it's the season and it's going for a great cause.
Where's it going to?
It's Black non-believers will be you. And what do you guys have a specific plan, or is it just general funding, or can you talk about
General
that?
funding. We support the Secular Student Alliance when we do our tabling, our different events, because everything that we do is within our pocket.
Right.
So
Right.
when we
Yeah.
have, I had an event at the. Oh, that's good. You got the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm about to play the trailer once you get finished plugging that. And we still got Big Bad
Yeah.
Mama in the house. You guys are awesome. Just hanging out. I cannot believe I've done a stream for nearly 3 hours. I thought I'm going to get on here for half an hour, 45 minutes, ramble about this Christian school thing, and
I
that's
had
going to be a
meant to
wrap.
come on
But
earlier, but
you guys
my
just make
son was
this
running his mouth.
so much fun. And if I had no financial issues and I could just, sit here, this is all I would do. I would go, this is what I would do all the time. I love this so much. I'm going to play the Skeptic Haven trailer real quick.
Oh yeah, great.
I haven't even seen this trailer, so this is going to be new for everybody. Is that going to go away? Let's see here. Can I make this big screen? Still learning Restream. Y'all got to bear with me.
Oh, hold on. Read what Joe said.
Let me see. What did Joe say? Yes, Joe. Come watch two black women become diabetics for a good cause. Oh no.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, I can't even.
And I'm already
it.
type 2, but don't tell nobody.
That's the comment of the night right there, Joe.
Yeah, that was the comment of the night.
Joe and I were able to hang out the night after the protest. Partook in a little bit of that about what was that little green, every green plant that comes from a seed is for your benefit. Me and Joe were taking the biblical stance on that the night after the protest and had a fantastic time. Joe is hilarious, and I'm sure everybody here knows that. But if you're watching this and don't know who the Kentucky Atheist is, go sub his channel. You are missing out on some quality stuff. And he's doing a lot of stuff right now, too. Already setting up for the 10-year anniversary of the ARC protest, which is going to be in July of next year. He's on top of that. He's got some political stuff that's really, some of it's pointed and some of it has caused me to sort of do some self-reflection, to be honest. And I haven't told Joe this yet, but yeah, it's made, some of it has made me not uncomfortable, but it's made me challenge sort of the views that I've had. And I think, again, that's always a good thing. Let's play real quick this 30-second trailer, because this specific fundraiser is going to 3 different members of this community who are having financial troubles. And I know there's a lot of us right now who are tight, who are struggling. But, this is for basic necessities, medical care, things that these people need. And it's going to benefit Sadie and Kyle and Ember. And if anybody can donate, it will be much appreciated. So let's play this real fast.
Hey there, lovely ghouls and gentle ghosts. On October 24th at 7 p.m. Central, we're hosting a delightfully silly Halloween fundraiser for Sadie Hergert, Cosmic Kyle, and Ember. 3 humans, probably, who deserve your support. Skip the candy corn. Everyone knows it's sweet chalk, so toss a few bucks our way instead. Your donation keeps Skeptic Haven weird, wise, and wonderfully witchy. Thank you, sweet skeptics.
It's going to be a blast. They have an absolute ridiculous lineup. Have you guys seen who's going to be on this thing? I mean,
and I can't believe they actually
the cream of the
asked
crop,
me
I
to
think
be
is
on
what
there.
they call it.
But I
Are you going to be? Okay, so just from what I can tell, let me zoom in here just so I can tell from the thumbnail. There's so many freaking people. So you've got John Gleason. Am I sharing my screen still? Let me see. let's share this.
Process engineer. That's pretty good.
Let's see here. So y'all should be able to see that now, right? All right. So I see John Gleason, Godless Engineer, and we've got Helen Green from the Fireside Freethinkers, Mandisa Thomas, of course, Black Non-Believers, and technically Kelly's boss, I do believe. Elliot, Secular Rarity, Elliot.
Math Pig will be there.
I'm sorry?
Math Pig will be there, it looks like.
Pig. Some of these people, I'm gonna be honest, I'm still new to this thing, and I'm still learning faces and names. I'm not familiar with Math Pig, but there is Math Pig. Who is this gentleman here? Does anyone know?
That's Oren Roy, isn't it?
No.
Can y'all see my cursor?
I'm trying to
the
see
white
who
guy
you're
in the top
pointing at.
left.
I don't know who that is though.
Don't know. I don't know the first few people.
Hold on,
Jim Burrows.
Oren Roy is on there though. He's on the end of the row.
Oh, is that
Jim,
David? Hold on. I'm about to
You've
look
got
and
Jim
see.
Burrows.
That-
You've
that
got
can't
Oren
be-
Ra. We've got How to Rule an Asteroid, Jess Armstrong here. Fantastic
Or maybe that's
human being. She's part of the original cabin crew.
Yeah, she's amazing.
From the art. She really is. That's Steve right there, right? Just wrote the book, the Humanity.
The book. Yep.
Yeah.
Steve Sakaitis.
I don't know some of these.
He's going to be on my.
How do you say his name? How do you say his name?
Zacchaeus. I think I'm saying it right. Something like that. Always, but I think
I'm literally still learning here, guys, gals, non-binary pals. I'm still learning these people. You've got Neil, the 604 Atheist. Cannot wait to sit down with him. He's been hitting me up for 6 months talking about. Well, that's not entirely true. We connected a while back, and I said I'd love to, but I'm in the middle of something, and I'm still in the middle of something. But
Neil's nice.
Excellent content. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love his stuff. Chris Mallard. Is that Miss Ryan Cultastic?
Yes, that is. That's
her.
our Ryan. That's Ryan Cultastic.
Excellent.
Love her. She's part of my Java family.
So we've got Mark Reed.
Nice.
Fantastic. Best accent on the internet. I love an Aussie accent. I could listen to him talk. He could read a book. He could read a kid's book, and I'd probably just tune in and listen to it. I love that dude. He's such a kind, compassionate person too, for sure.
He's a good guy.
And everybody's favorite brain expert.
So we have almost the whole Java and Jugs team on here.
Yeah, you do. And it says and more. So
I'll have to check it out.
It says and more. And to be honest, Helen reached out to me just the other day and was like, "Are you going to be able to make it?" And I'm like, I'm not going to have a place to stay. That's the reality. Until I get a paycheck, I can't afford to stay here weekly. It's $420 a week.
Wow.
Steep. Yeah, it is. But I was thinking about that. Like, is it worth it? And to have all my utilities covered, internet access, appliances. I mean, I've got a fridge and a microwave. It includes everything. It turns out to be about $60 a day. And Aussie here has to have somewhere. All these weekly motels, they charge you per night, and this is the cheapest I can get for me and him. And I know it sucks, but one of my jobs is going to be just for rent, just to stay here. And the second job, half will go to child support and half will go to my get home fund. Right. So I'm going to live real frugal. I'm not going to spend hardly any money on anything. And I'm just going to stack some money, get home as quick as I can. It's just the crappy situation I'm in. Unfortunately, it's going to be probably 1 to 2 weeks where we're going to be doing the van life thing. And to be honest, I'm not looking forward to it, but it is what it is. And we're going to get through it. And it's going to be in the rearview mirror before I know it. And I'm okay with that. So, unfortunately, it's just where we're at. And
I hate I can't do anything.
Listen. There are people. Listen,
I can't help you.
I want to be so super clear about this. There are people in this chat, and there are people in this community that have literally changed the direction of my life with their generosity. I am not asking or trying to guilt trip anybody for not giving more or trying to pressure anybody. I am thankful for what I got. And it's just part of this chapter in my life. It's been crazy. And one day I'll write a book about it and it'll be in the past. And until then, we're going to get through it. So Kelly, please, I appreciate you so much. And I don't want anyone to feel guilty because it's not other people's responsibility to take care of me. And
It's just me and how I am, though. I hate seeing people
feel,
in
feel
a bad
guilty because
situation because
I
I
know.
understand how it feels like to be in that situation. I've been homeless
Well,
before.
and can I be
Yeah.
I
honest
didn't
though?
know how
And
to
I
get
want
my next meal from, so I understand.
and listen, and you know what? As much as it sucks, it's building character, and it's also giving me an experience I can teach to my kids, the ones that are still open to talk to me. And I try to find the silver lining, and it's about this too. I'm never going to turn down help for people who say, listen, man, listen, man, you can pay me back. Listen, man, it's a gift. Either way, I'm okay with that. But when you look at someone like Ember, who needs medical, financial aid for medical reasons, I
Yes.
would rather spend 2 weeks in freaking Memphis with the damn military and the cops riding around harassing people, if she can get what she needs. And that's one reason I haven't started on a GoFundMe or have put out a lot of stuff. Now, yesterday, I literally had no food. There's been people who came through so big for that. But there's so many people who need it more than I do. I would almost feel bad in a way. I just appreciate everyone who's helped me out. And I just want to be clear. The last thing I want to do is turn this into like, hey, you guys going to hook me up again? Not at all the case. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. It is a huge, for lack of a better term, my Christian scar tissue, a blessing. It's been a blessing to me, but it's not required, and I'm going to be just fine. Listen, I've been through some really rough areas. I got a big, loud dog. He's a big, fat baby, but he absolutely scared. People will not come near my car. And if they do, I'll whip their ass or I'll get mine whipped. I mean, it is what it is, So I will be fine. I will be fine.
I have a dog
Daddy, see Ozzy.
Ozzy,
I want to see
he's
Ozzy.
tired. He's like, usually once we go out at nighttime, he knows it's bedtime. And I usually lay down and he gets in my face and we do some playing and I talk to him. I'll be honest, maybe it makes me weird, but we talk and I love on him and after a few minutes, he goes to the foot of the bed and goes to sleep. And I turn my phone on and usually put on an episode of usually the damn show that I've missed or some other long form show that's got a couple hours and I just fall asleep to it. Java and Jugs. If I miss that, it's my end of the day thing. So, it's a routine we have. This guy right here, though, outside of y'all, I wouldn't have been here. I think having him when I was getting sober during the very beginning of the separation, and there was all that alienation between my kids and I wasn't able to see them, and still processing the deconstruction while drinking and then coming off getting sober. He was 9 weeks old when I got him, and he has not left my side in 4 years. His birthday was September. So outside of y'all, this is the other ride or die that I absolutely couldn't live without. So he is my boy. I love him very much. You guys are also awesome. I have a couple big things to do tomorrow. I have to go by both places that I've applied for. I've been assured that I will have some sort of answer from both tomorrow. Okay. So I'm going to I'll keep my Facebook posted, but one of them is at an auto parts place. And the guy said, look, the interview is a formality. I want to offer you a job. He offered me a job on the spot. And I said, look, man, I said, I almost got emotional. I said, I appreciate this. I said, but I'm worried about my background. He said, well, what's in it? I said, it's 2 nonviolent misdemeanors. He's like, dude, I've never seen them kick anybody out unless they've been like major felonies. He said, we've had people work here in the past with minor felonies, stuff that wasn't violent and that wasn't theft related. I'm hoping beyond hope that this is not going to jam me up, because if it does, I may need someone to come get me, because I might need to go into a straitjacket because I don't know what else to do. I haven't smoked weed in weeks, not just because I don't have the money for it, but I've been dedicated to getting a job and passing a drug test and really put everything into this. I don't know what else I can do. So if this doesn't work out, somebody might have to come down here and just put me in the car and drive me. We're not even going to put that in the air.
We ain't going to put that in the air.
Okay.
No,
all right.
No, you got the job.
How about that? I'm getting the jobs tomorrow. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump. We are pushing 3 hours. I cannot thank y'all enough for both watching and hanging out. I'm shocked that we had a 3-hour stream, but I love it. You know, this is what I want to do more of, and I appreciate y'all. And I look forward to the next time I am able to sit down with you. Any last words, Kelly or Marty? I'm gonna let y'all have the last words, and we're gonna wrap it up.
No, I've said everything I needed to say. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I appreciate it. Subscribe to his channel if you haven't as well. Like the stream if you haven't.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, and by the way, when I say yes, ma'am, I've said it a couple times. That is a Southern
I'm
thing.
used to it.
Okay, because it is offensive
I live in
to some
Georgia,
people.
so it's okay.
Some people look at me. Some people look at me and are like, "Don't call me ma'am," and I'm like,
"It don't bother me. I got a lot of guys about your age at my job that call me auntie. Yeah, don't bother me.
Okay.
If it's
Yeah,
about
It is with love and respect that I say ma'am, and I appreciate both of y'all for hanging out. I'm gonna jump, and
That'd be called worse.
I will see you, Kelly, tomorrow morning in the chat
Yes.
of Java and Jugs over on the Damn Atheist Network. If you're unfamiliar, go subscribe to them and see Kelly and 6 or 7 other really awesome females.
7 is 8.
Take over for Chris Mallard and do a much better job. I'm just kidding, Chris. I'm just kidding. It is a very nice.
Are you really though?
It's a really nice balance. I'll say that. You know, you got one Chris and then you got 8 awesome women. It's kind of better. Maybe that much. Nah. Listen, y'all are great. I love you, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. This is the family that I have, and I appreciate y'all so much. I'm going to jump, and I will see you all soon. Thank you for being here,
Bye,
guys.
everyone. Still in the chat.
Yes, thank you.